the strongest technician of the Hidden Sand Village. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151. The storm is coming. The Konoha messenger has already arrived. In the annex of the Iroquois family, Yamaji Riko strode into the courtyard. The first thing he said when he saw Iroquois Meru was to ask about the Konoha messenger. People from Konoha have already contacted me, but I didn't give a clear answer directly. After this period of dormancy, Iroquois Meru was much calmer than before. Although he was still a little cautious, he still trusted his sister, so he told her all the details directly. Looking at the uncertain face of Yamaji Ryoko, Iroquois Meru suddenly asked, "Sister Ryoko, what do you think of this confrontation between Konoha and Shiraishi? What do you think?" Yamaji Ryoko did not directly answer Iroquois Meru's question, but directly asked him what he thought. "I want to agree. After all, if this continues, Kazekage's position will definitely belong to that guy Shiraishi. As a disciple of Rata, Iroquois Meru naturally hopes that he can once again take control of the real power in Sunagakure village. In the past 2 years, the 3 sand escapes have been suppressed too much by the elders. In order to restore the family's glory, borrowing Konoha is a last resort point. Although there were many reasons, Iroquois Meru vaguely caught a hint of disappointment on Ryoko Yamaji's face. Sunagakure is really stronger now than before, and he can even let Konoha use this method to deal with him. Regarding Iroquois Meru's answer, Yamaji Ryoko sighed softly. Although she had many conflicts with Shiraishi at the beginning, and even had so many conflicts that they were almost incompatible with each other, after experiencing so many things, she is no longer the same person she used to be. She hates the Black Mist White Stone, hates the elders, and hates their control of Sunagakure village. This has never changed. But on the other hand, she didn't want to ruin Sunagakure's good environment in recent years. To complete this matter, this mentality is contradictory, but in the end she made this choice just because she was also a member of Sunagakure. The positions are different, but in the general direction, Shanjilingzi will never allow anyone to harm Sunagakure village. The attitude of Konoha's envoy has already angered her rebellious mentality, but this time Konoha goes all out, and Sunagakure can't stop it. How strong Konoha is, we can understand its powerful background from its previous ninja wars against many. There are endless blood succession secret arts families. Although the factions are constantly fighting, once they concentrate their efforts on a certain ninja village, they are as powerful as Sunagakure. The consequences must be considered. Defining him as a traitorous ninja, and then sitting back and watching Black Mist Shiraishi fight with us in the Kingdom of Wind, is Konoha's plan. Even if we win, Sunagakure has already lost the chance to compete with Konoha. Speaking of this, Yamaji Ryoko showed a sarcastic smile. As for whether Konoha is still as powerful as before, it depends on whether the Black Fog and White Stone can stop those old guys. Yamaji Ryoko's mood is quite complicated. She took a huge risk in making this decision, but she believes that, even if it were her mother or Iroquois Rakata, they would support her. I see. Iroquois Meru half knelt down and bowed. "Thank you for your teaching. No matter what, the continuation of a family sometimes relies on a strong village. If the village is gone, then they will be rootless duckweeds, even more fragile and vulnerable in front of Konoha. Konoha misjudged Iroquois, and the reaction of the Yamaji family was normal. Yamaji Ryoko had always been more emotional and rational in the past, and Konoha could not imagine that she is so calm now. According to Denzo's vision, as long as these families are given some bait, they will be obedient and operate according to his plan. Considering that the daimyo and Alyosha may have a certain attitude, we can just communicate with the elders for the time being. In the direction of Mount Kakayo, Shikaku Nara was sitting in the base camp, looking at the starry sky in the distance, and clenching his fists involuntarily. 2 years have passed, and Nara Shikaku's dress is more and more similar to his father, as if he is deliberately imitating it. "Father, I am now the squad leader of the jounin squad, and also the military commander-in-chief of this Operation Kakayo Mountain. I will definitely take back the shame I suffered back then. Nera. Shikora died of illness a year ago. The only thing he could not forget before his death was the Battle of Mount Kikyo. Konoha suffered heavy losses due to his wrong judgment, and the entire Third Ninja World War suffered a setback. This was his heart disease, and ultimately led to he died young. Shikaku Nera, who inherited the tradition of the Nera family, after 2 years of dormancy, is now the leader of the new jounin class, commanding the entire Konoha army. In addition to the two powerful men, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, and Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas, Nera Shikaku also established an elite jounin combat class. In addition to several regular elite jounin, Nera Shikaku also sent out invitations. Invitations include blood families such as the Uchiha clan and the Hyuga clan, and secret arts families such as the Aburame clan and the Inazuka clan. Each family will dispatch 3 elite jounin members to join the jounin combat classes for the Inorikacho clan. All the elite members of the clan participated in this war against Sunagakure. In terms of mid to high level combat power alone, Konoha data has crushed Sunagakure. In addition, Hyuga Tenman, the current leader of the Hyuga clan, and Anzo, the head of the root group, are also involved in this battle. In this case, there are 4 shadow level combatants alone. Such a luxurious lineup shows Konoha's determination this time. The news that Konoha was going to start the Third Kazekage Mountain War had already spread throughout the ninja world. Although the major villages were surprised that Konoha took the initiative for the first time, they were also aware of Konoha's subtle emotional reasons. The rise of Black Mist Shiraishi was so fast that Konoha could no longer bear it, especially when news of the Battle of Ota in the Land of Rain came, and the veteran and powerful demigod Danzo was defeated by Shiraishi. You must know that it is in the Land of Rain. Reading www.wakanshu.net instead of being defeated in the desert of the Kingdom of Wind. This is enough to show that the strength of Black Mist Shiraishi is becoming more and more fearful, so Konoha hopes to cause Shiraishi to break with the village as soon as possible. As long as you break with your own village, no matter how strong your individual strength is, you will eventually be swept into the dust of history. Uchiha Madara is a vivid example. In the Ota area of the Land of Rain, Shiraishi, who was arranging the next round of defenses against the Rain Ninja in the camp, received the actions from Konoha without much surprise. When he first chose to attack Konoha, Shiraishi had considered various possibilities. One of them was that Konoha would use all its strength to attack the mainland of the Wind Country and force himself, a non-Kazekage person with real power, to break with the village. Teacher, are you going to rush back to the village next? Nagase Bizun put the summary of the intelligence collection on Shiraishi's desk, and was a little worried about the teacher's current situation. Grandma, Chiyo will arrive in the country of rain soon. After she keeps an eye on Hanzo on my behalf, I will go back to the village directly. At present, only Chiyo is the most suitable to replace Shiraishi and monitor Hanzo's every move. After all, the two were old enemies during the Great Ninja War. They have faced each other many times, and neither of them can do anything to the other. Chapter 152, S-Class Rebellious Ninja, NBSP. In the camp in Ota District, Shiraishi and his subordinates were dealing with matters related to occupying Ota District, but soon a familiar figure appeared in Shiraishi's camp. Grandma. Chiyo, you are here. Chiyo traveled from Sand Hidden Village to the Land of Rain very quickly, arriving in almost just one day. However, Chiyo's panting state made Shiraishi smile forcibly. Rushing on the road leads to excessive fatigue, and it is easy to be attacked, ambushed, and destroyed by the enemy. This is what you and Master Ibizo taught me. Why am I in such a hurry now? Chiyo ignored Shiraishi's teasing at all, shook his head and said, now Konoha is about to be fully invaded. At this time you still want to stick to the position of the Kingdom of Rain. The concentrated power of Konoha is so terrifying that Chiyo cannot understand why Shiraishi insists on maintaining the battlefields on both sides of the Rain Country and the Core Country. Doesn't he understand the urgency of time? According to Shiraishi's strategic vision, in addition to sitting in the Land of Rain, Hayakura continued to monitor the Uchiha clan in the direction of Koakuni, and Ibizo stayed in the village. This method of dispersing combat power has become very stupid at the moment of full-scale invasion of Konoha. Even if Shiraishi is confident in his own strength, it is too unwise for one person to fight against the entire power of Konoha. This battle with Konoha is a battle that will determine the structure of the ninja world for decades in the future. If we concentrate our efforts on the mainland of the Wind Country and fight Konoha, even if we win, the two wings of the country of Sichuan and the country of Rain will inevitably be damaged. Then what are you going to do in the desert environment? It is my true home court. No matter what, I must continue to fight against Konoha in this battle, and I cannot give up all this just because they focus on suppressing the mainland of the Kingdom of Wind. Shiraishi is not afraid of Konoha's arrival. He is as powerful as the Third Hokage. No matter how powerful he is, he cannot reverse the natural desert environment. In fact, Hanzo is also waiting for Sunagakure's gesture. If Shiraishi retreats this time, it will be very difficult to capture this place again in the future. The same is true for Kono Kuni. Mother-in-law Chiyo didn't understand that this was Sunagakure's best opportunity in years, so she had no choice but to believe in Shiraishi's judgment, then return to the land of wind quickly, and remember not to be in a hurry, and give the enemy a chance to take advantage of it. In Sand Hidden Village Konoha's army pushed hard into Mount Kikyo. Compared to the previous two brutal offensive and defensive battles, this time the defenses on Mount Sunagakure were directly breached. When the resident Sunagakure ninjas retreated to the village, Konoha's main force pushed directly towards Sunagakure village. Without the shield of Platikadon Mountain, the vast land of the Wind Kingdom was directly introduced into Konoha's eyes. The war was tense. The fourth Kazekage Rasa sat in the meeting with an expressionless face, quietly watching the performance of the elder group. The daimyo's accountability letter is here. The accountability letter from the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind mainly asked Rasa about whether the military operations against the Kingdom of Kamakura and the Kingdom of Rain were really ordered by the Kazekage, or were Shiraishi's unauthorized planning. The daimyo chose to play dumb and pass all current matters to Ilyusha and the group of elders in the form of a letter of accountability. Ibizo read the accountability letter once and handed it to Rasa. What does Mr. Kazekage think of this matter? What can I think about it? You have started the war. How can I still object? Or according to the ideas of the people in Konoha, Shiraishi should be classified as a traitorous ninja. Then the entire Sunagakure village will think that he colluded with Konoha to murder the village hero, and his Kazekage's reputation will be completely ruined. It's not like Rasa has never received Konoha envoys before. Although he was indeed very moved at first, when he thought about it carefully, this was completely a conspiracy to split Konoha and Sunagakure. If he agreed, he would probably be ruined in the entire history of Sunagakure. Aware of /U003E/U003E. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. Ilyusha calmed down and did not make any statement. This appearance attracted the attention of many wealthy nobles such as Shanjilingzi. Master Kazekage doesn't speak. Ilyusha closed his eyes and acted completely like a bystander. Currently, he has the same position as the daimyo. If Shiraishi wins, it will be a great opportunity for the strategic expansion of Sunagakure and even the Kingdom of Wind. If it fails, all the blame will be borne by the elders and Shiraishi. I'm sorry, Kazekage-sama is feeling a little unwell. In the past 2 years, Maki had said this on countless occasions, as if Ilyusha would never recover from the beating he received from Inoki, and would fall ill at every turn. It's the same now. At such a critical moment, Ilyusha fell ill again, and was unable to continue hosting the meeting. Watching Maki help Rasa out of the conference room, Ibizo didn't interrupt from beginning to end. After all, Rasa didn't make any trouble. If he really dared to propose at the meeting today that Shiraishi be classified as a traitor and be expelled from Sunagakure, then Ibizo didn't mind killing Rasa on the spot. How about perimeter defense? The Shanlu family has begun to set up protective barriers. The huge protective barrier outside Sunagakure village has always had 3 sets of protection modes. The first set is the barrier area arranged by Sunagakure's regular ninjas. It is also the easiest barrier to penetrate in Konoha and other ninja villages. The second type is a sand barrier controlled by the sand release 3 meridians. Compared with the original barrier, a giant eye appears in the sky, constantly locking in the changes in the situation around the entire sand hidden village. The third type of barrier is the earth vein barrier controlled by the elders. It is necessary to activate the earth veins inside sand hidden village and combine its energy with the earth escape technique to form a terrifying quicksand barrier. 3 kinds of barriers are arranged to deal with the 3 different wartime conditions of sand hidden village. As the current person in charge of the barrier, Yamaji Ryoko formed a seal with his hands. The moment he formed a seal, endless sand swept across the entire periphery of sand hidden village. A huge one-eyed eye was suspended in the air, constantly monitoring changes in the surrounding situation. At the same time, while Shiraishi was controlling the levitation magnetic escape to return to Sunagakure, he suddenly found that his magnetic escape was disturbed. Countless black magnetic sand surged out from the ground and instantly turned into a giant hand that attacked the silver sand at Beishi's feet. With an uproar and explosion, Beishi stepped on the ground very lightly. Magnetic escape. The chakra feeling just now belongs to the Iroquois family's magnetic escape feeling, but Iroquois Akata has passed away. Iroquois Meru does not have this level of sand control, and Iroquois Rarish's magnetic escape perception is not right either. Could it be that, in an instant, the black sand and iron rolled up, forming a huge sand and iron barrier, completely blocking Beishi's path? Senior Scorpion, have you also joined forces with Konoha to be able to create such a powerful sand and iron field? Only the red sand scorpion, who made the third Kazekage into a human puppet, has the ability to create such a sand and iron field. Countless human puppets appeared from all directions, and a cold voice came from the depths of the forest. I'm not interested in the war between Sunagakure and Konoha, but I'm full of interest in you. Black Mist Shiraishi, you will be the most perfect person in my life. Masterpiece. Shiraishi has always been regarded by Scorpion as the perfect choice for a human puppet. The decisive battle between Konoha and Sunagakure is the perfect time for the red sand scorpion to attack and capture him to make him a human puppet. Seeing being dragged by the red sand scorpion, Yu re-adding what to Kanshu. Net Shiraishi's whole aura suddenly changed, and fierce murderous aura filled the entire forest. In an instant, countless sand irons were unable to withstand Shiraishi's burst of chakra and were suddenly blown to pieces. Come on. The black sand and iron under his feet gradually transformed into his own silver metallic sand. Amidst the wild sand in the sky, Beishi clasped his hands together, and brilliant light bloomed in his eyes. Scorpion of red sand, I now officially judge you as an S-level traitorous ninja of Hidden Sand Village, and I will arrest you /U003E 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 Chapter 153, Reversal of the Barrier. At the border between the Kingdom of Wind and the Kingdom of Rain, Shiraishi and Red Sand Scorpion, 2 Sunagakure ninjas from the same lineage, officially started a fierce battle today. Facing the Red Sand Scorpion's sniper attack, Shiraishi decided to use thunderous means to fight back. The moment the silver sword transformed from the immortal sword was unsheathed, the surrounding airflow continued to burst out. Scorpion couldn't help but be frightened by Shiraishi's momentum. It is worthy of being an existence that surpasses the Kazekage and Suna ninja in the past. Although he is only 18 years old, he has such strength, which is really enviable. Although he still wanted to wait for Beishi to continue to grow, he knew very well that as Beishi's strength continued to increase crazily, the possibility of him turning him into a human puppet became smaller and smaller. That's why this risky move was made. This is the only opportunity Scorpio can seize at the moment. Scorpion, you shouldn't trouble me at this time. Before, Shiraishi would call him Senior Scorpion, but now he has given up on him, which is enough to show that Shiraishi is angry and anxious in his heart. He turned the silver knife in his hand and spurted out a vast force of air. It's because you are too attached to the so-called village that you become so imperfect. Eternity is everything, incomprehensible, even Though it was difficult for Granny Chiyo to explain it, Sunagakure was currently at a moment of life and death, and he could never stop here. Moreover, talking to the red sand scorpion would vaguely make Shiraishi even more furious for such a boring thing. He chose to stop himself at this time point with an uproar. The sage's sword erupted into a violent chakra flow wave, which under Shiraishi's control transformed into a domineering slashing wave. The first cut was a devastating blow. The combination of the cyclone attack and the whirlwind knife showed the sharpness of the wind escape. Dozens of puppets in the first row had their heads fall off point during the whirlpool of the airflow. A continuous stream of whirlwind knife strikes was formed. During the endless cycle, the sand and silver began to condense together under the feet of the white stone point. These fallen human puppet heads were controlled by chakra lines and sprayed out a large number of poisonous needles. The Hanzo and Chiyo that Shiraishi met in the past were all proficient in poison arts, but the number one poison user in the world was the mysterious red sand scorpion in front of him. He had mastered it long before he left Sand Hidden Village. There are thousands of poisonous spell combinations. The head sprayed poisonous needles and attacked, but Shiraishi saw the Sunagakure wall producing countless magnetic escape combinations in front of him, trying to absorb it, but these poisonous needles were not affected by the magnets at all and attacked directly. Knowing that you are proficient in magnetic escape, how could I not be prepared at all? In the darkness, Scorpion, who had a face even younger than Shiraishi, quietly watched the changes in the battle situation. A Feiyu mirror appeared behind him, controlling countless human puppets. To besiege Shiraishi crazily point, the destructive power of the same Feiyujing in the hands of the red sand scorpion was far greater than Shiraishi had expected. Unexpectedly, the sketch he left for him was actually completely copied and manufactured by him. Z's red secret skill, with the cooperation of Feiyujing, is far more powerful than ever. The quality and quantity of the human puppet army in front of him far exceeds that of an Lushan who went to Lowland Point. The third generation Kazekage's human puppet appeared again at some unknown time. The strange and difficult third generation Kazekage puppet in front of him is currently the most powerful one in Scorpion's collection of human puppets. The right hand can extend multiple large knives. The combination of the knives increases the attack range, making it more difficult to dodge. The sword swings are very fast and can easily shatter Feiyu, whose tail point after the left hand is unfolded. A huge number of puppet arms can be transformed by spells. The summoned arms also contain hidden poisonous mist and other mechanical devices. The left hand can pop out a rotating gear, which consists of 8 small scimitars in a circle, forming an attack power that is even greater than that of a large sword point. At the same time, the third Kazekage has a blood inheritance boundary that converts highly condensed chakra into magnetism. It is a jutsu that combines the ninjutsu of the Shukakujin Chiraki with the special attributes of the chakra properties of its own magnetism, allowing sand iron to be used at will. It can change into various forms to attack and defend. Once it invades the body of a person or puppet, it can completely paralyze it. Secret technique. Thousand hand martial arts. The talisman on the puppet's arm appeared, and instantly thousands of arms carried terrifying poisonous mist to attack Beishi Point. But at this moment, Shiraishi turned the silver knife in his hand, and the air vortex on the blade instantly guided the poisonous mist to flow in the direction of the caster. At the same time, countless whirlwind knives and thousands of hands were intertwined. During the impact of continuous explosions, Shiraishi quickly flew high in the air, and the sand silver wings behind his back shot out countless sand needles, which collided with the sand iron shedure of the third Kazekage puppet. It's so strong. It's so satisfying. Such strength. Looking at the powerful Beishi in midair, Scorpion's eyes were full of enthusiasm, looking at Beishi as if he were looking at a work of art. On the ground, 6 rings formed by condensation of sand and silver were intertwined and suspended in 6 directions. Although this technique is not perfect yet, it is still enough for you to deal with Scorpion. Such a weird technique is an ability that the red sand scorpion has never understood. It is obvious that after 2 years of practice, Black Mist Beishi has developed some incredible techniques. The thorn needle formed by the magnetic escape was shot out, but it was quickly crushed by the unique time and space fluctuations in the ring. The red sand scorpion's heart suddenly lurched, and it had a bad premonition. Time and space ninjutsu. The moment he touched a ring, Beishi suddenly appeared in another direction. and the silver knife in his hand, swooped down at an extremely fast speed. Oops. Although the dimensional holes in the 6 rings cannot be completely formed, a dimensional passage has been formed between the 6 rings, which is suitable for Shiraishi to shuttle and move around. This dimensional teleportation technique is the first time and space ninja that Shiraishi has mastered. Technique. In Sand Hidden Village, at the same time that the Yamaji family completed the entire barrier, a huge rumbling occurred on the ground. The strange light merged into the gaps in the sand and started to reverse the entire barrier area bit by bit. Reversal of surgery. How so? Shanjiling's expression changed. In order to reverse the barrier and trap himself, he must not only be proficient in the same barrier technique, but also need a sand control technique that is stronger than his own. Could it be the Uchiha clan? Currently, only the Uchiha clan has the ability to reverse the barrier and cast spells, which in turn traps Sunagakure inside. Go and contact the elders quickly. Just as Yamaji Ryoko speculated, after a large number of Konoha ninjas continued to appear outside the Sand Hidden Village, a middle-aged ninja from the Uchiha clan injured the rapid loss of pupil power. Reading www.ukanshunet and Sharingan suffered severe pain and forced a technique to reverse the barrier technique. Uchiha Cham is the son of Uchiha Mirror and the uncle of Uchiha Shisu. As one of the few pro-Konoha clan in the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Cham also appears as the 3rd generation Hokage's trump card. Zan, are you feeling well? Casting. A large-scale reversal of the barrier requires strong pupil power to support it. Only Uchiha of the Hokage series like Zan would continue to compromise his pupil power to complete this task. Ahem. Sandame-sama, I'm fine. Sunagakure is now surrounded by his own barrier technique. A trace of blood appeared at the corner of Uchiha-san's eyes, but he quickly covered it up. Since Sunagakure has chosen to protect Kurogiri Shiraishi, they must prepare for the next wrath of Konoha. Danzo walked out slowly with a cane and looked at Uchiha-san with a hint of disgust. Regarding Danzo's hostility, Uchiha-san took a few steps back, but now Danzo quickly turned his attention to the direction of Sunagakure village. For a moment he was filled with pride. And ninjas, your doom is coming. Chapter 154, Friendship Breaking Face Fist. After 2 years of development and practice, Shiraishi simulated the ring structure of the dimensional cave again and again, and finally simulated a similar metal ring that could create a short-term space passage. The material of the ring is not perfect enough. Otherwise, according to the skills cover, the time and space movement distance range can allow Shiraishi to teleport directly from the land of rain back to Sunagakure, instead of the current short distance time and space movement. But even so, Shiraishi's method still surprised the red sand scorpion. During the continuous movement and suspension of the ring, it seems that the 6 moving coordinates are constantly switching, which can make Shiraishi's mobility stronger. A larger number of puppets must be used to completely surround Black Mist White Stone. Otherwise, if he continues to move at will with his time and space ninjutsu, he will definitely lose. Red Secret Technique 100 Machine Exercises. Historically, the red sand scorpion needed to fully perform the spell and completely transform itself into a human puppet. However, with the 2nd generation Kazekage's Feiyujing, the red sand scorpion was able to unleash its red secret skills. In advance. There were dozens of puppets on the battlefield, but they instantly turned into hundreds. It's like a dense army, blocking the surrounding area with water. Shiraishi quickly analyzed and processed the information about this puppet technique, and used the Feiyu mirror and the scroll to summon hundreds of puppets to participate in the battle. Each puppet used a different weapon, and their actions were affected by the regeneration core in the Feiyu mirror. Control of chakra lines relying on Feiyujing. Hundreds of connected puppets can be controlled without using fingers, and the will of the puppet master can be reflected in the puppet's movements, so hundreds of puppets can be controlled as freely as one's own hands and feet. At the same time, the regeneration core in the Feiyu mirror should be connected to the core in the scorpion body, so there is no time difference between the puppet masters will and the puppet's movements. These puppets are extremely powerful in combat, and Scorpion relies on this technique to destroy a country. A puppet master's strength is measured by the number of puppets he can control. The number of fingers is only 10, although this is already the limit point, but puppetry can indeed subvert tradition. Zaya uses the Fei mirror to control hundreds of puppets at one time. He has reached the pinnacle of puppetry. Shiraishi and Shio, who also master the fairy mirror, cannot do this. In the ancient country of Laolan, Xiaoyin's idea of strengthening the puppets with the power of dragon veins also inspired me. Although there are no dragon veins, there are many alternative products to strengthen the quality of the puppets. At the moment when countless winds and sands rolled up, the third generation Kazekage puppet quickly dodged, and several broadswords were pointed directly at Shiraishi point. But seeing the dimensional cave quickly dodge, Shiraishi successfully evaded the attack of the third Kazekage. At the same time, 6 puppets from behind attacked at the same time. The knife danced rapidly in Shiraishi's hand, instantly crushing the puppet's head. At the same time, Shiraishi blasted a whirlwind knife from his right hand, cutting off a puppet at the waist point using a large number of puppets. To limit his own mobility, he is worthy of being a scorpion, and his combat intelligence is far superior to that of ordinary ninjas point. But, how many puppets do you have for me to consume? The immortal sword cut a dark arc, and instantly produced a sword light that shattered the puppet. However, at the same time, a large number of poisonous needles penetrated Shiraishi's body, but he unexpectedly discovered that it was actually an earth clone. At some point, a dimensional hole rose up behind Scorpion. With the blessing of the White Stone's wrist power, his whole arm suddenly became thicker, and he punched Scorpion's forehead fiercely. How can it be? Why did he determine the position of his own body? The Scorpion's body was knocked out, and fell to the ground like a kite with its string broken. Shiraishi's punch was so powerful that many joints in his body showed signs of detachment. Although he has not completely turned into a human puppet, Scorpion's hands and feet have been modified and resemble an artificial skeleton, giving people a chilling feeling. Did you discover the subtle differences of the regenerative core? Shiraishi's eyes were cold, and he aimed the sword of immortality at Scorpion's head. In the research on human puppets and regenerative cores, I have obtained no less data and information than you. Blind confidence in your regenerative core technology is your fatal flaw. Without any nonsense, the Crimson Sand Scorpion suddenly stretched out his hands and saw 2 tubes appearing in his palms, shooting out 2 bursts of eclipse energy. Turning sideways, he saw a huge thick fog and corrosive irritating smell on the ground. Shiraishi saw this and quickly used magnetic escape to fight against the corrosive water column. The violent erosion stream uses a scroll to eject a powerful, corrosive, and poisonous water column from the pipe in the palm of the hand. During the process of Shiraishi's magnetic escape turning into a shield to block it, Scorpion adjusted his elbow joint and turned into a hydraulic cutting knife. By controlling the rotation of your elbow, you can adjust the size of the water column at will. If you increase the water column, it will hit the opponent like a flood. If you make it smaller, it will cut objects like a laser, and even the clouds in the sky will be instantly cut away. However, Scorpion's purpose was just to force Shiraishi back. After showing this move, a huge puppet army appeared behind Scorpion and killed Shiraishi. After killing a puppet with one strike, Shiraishi looked at the densely packed puppets in the sky. Many of them had been killed by him before, and he was combining the parts into new puppets. Trouble. It is not difficult to deal with Scorpion, but it is very troublesome to be dragged here by him like this. You must not expend too much energy here. Fighting against puppets is the most wasteful of physical strength and energy. Shiraishi knows very well that he cannot return in an incomplete state at the critical moment of the decisive battle with Konoha. In an instant, Beishi made a decision, and the round pupils of his eyes gradually changed. The combination of huge mental power and magnetic escape actually turned into countless chains. Emerging from around Beishi. The pink chain seemed to have spirituality. It did not require Shiraishi's control and command, and automatically locked the regeneration cores in a large number of puppets, and then quickly pierced and destroyed them. Fairy locks. After perfectly integrating natural energy into the body and raising the round pupil proficiency to 100%, a new fairy technique was developed. During the process of winding the pink chain, the chakra of the Scorpion was perfectly locked and captured. A large number of regenerative cores were penetrated by fairy locks. During the process of blocking the ability of the regenerative cores, Scorpion's face became ugly. Although the fairy chain is not very powerful, it is the most deadly method for Scorpion, who relies on regenerative cores for massive tactics at this stage of the battle. Z was not a brainless person. Knowing that he could not capture Beishi, he began to consider how to evacuate. But how could Beishi let him go so easily? The black dimensional hole flashed, and countless pink chains suddenly sprang out from it. At this moment, they stabbed into many vital parts of Scorpion's arms, thighs, and chest. Scorpio, who was trapped by countless pink chains, looked at Shiraishi walking out of the darkness with an indifferent expression. Looking at the young and outrageous Scorpion in front of him. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Shiraishi stepped forward step by step. S-class traitor ninja, you have been arrested. Follow me back to Grand Machi-io and reflect on it. Don't you understand the difficulty? It's far more difficult to capture me alive than to kill me. Black mist white stone. As Z spoke calmly, countless black magnetic sand turned into giant hands, rising from behind Beishi, and slapped them down angrily. Of course I understand, but this is my promise to Granichi-io. The surrounding scene continued to shatter and fall like a mirror. At the same time, Shiraishi waved his fist again, and knocked the Scorpion away for the second time. Since when did I become possessed by an illusion? Scorpion, who has partially transformed his body, is not likely to be disturbed by mere illusions, but his senses of chakra are not disturbed by mere illusions. However, he was just dragged into Shiraishi's illusions, and sometimes he could not even distinguish between reality and illusion. P.S. The third season of the Forbidden City has been awaited for a long time. I'm so happy that I'm going to post some headlines today. Chapter 155, Route. Can these chains interfere with the regeneration core? It has to be said that Shiraishi, who was also born in Sunagakure, has a very good understanding of puppetry and regeneration cores. He is as powerful as Scorpion. Most of his methods and routines have appeared in Shiraishi's calculations and deductions. Therefore, although the battle with Scorpion was a bit hasty, Shiraishi was able to quickly adjust his strategy and quickly defeat the enemy with one blow. Surrounded by fairy chains, the Scolet's and Scorpion's face was cold and showed no emotion. I don't want to see that old woman again. As soon as he finished speaking, countless black sand and iron turned into a wave and came towards him. When Shiraishi controlled the sand and silver to block it, he saw that the black sand turned into a sharp blade and penetrated directly into Scorpion's heart. An unexpected scene made Shiraishi hesitate for the first time, but he saw a large number of chakra lines in Fei-Yujing begin to mobilize, transferring the chakra energy in Scorpion's heart. Scorpion, who was originally a half-human puppet, finally took the last step under the pressure of Shiraishi. The moment his heart was broken, all his chakra began to be introduced into one of the spare puppets as the special regeneration core in the scroll absorbs the chakra. The unique sealing talisman is activated, completing the complete transformation of the human puppet. Scorpion is indeed the most outstanding puppet master of Sunagakure. His understanding and use of the Scarlet Mirror is the most perfect one that is close to that of the Second Kazekage, and has even surpassed him on this basis. Although the appearance is similar to his own Fei-Yujing, many mechanisms and devices in Zion's Fei-Yujing have been adjusted to become the most suitable auxiliary puppet for Zion. At this time, countless puppets, under the command of Fei-Yujing, rushed towards Beishi's location crazily. Wrong. Scorpion is not dead. Shiraishi, who was aware of Scorpion's tactics, used the whirlwind knife in his hand to shatter the puppet in front of him, but saw that the puppets behind him were once again not afraid of death, and rushed forward one after another to swarm him. The pink fairy locks shot out again, piercing a large number of puppets, and the battle scene became extremely chaotic. While Shiraishi was fighting the puppet army, one of the red human puppets slowly raised his head, blinked his eyes, and then withdrew from the battlefield with the Third Kazekage and a few important puppets. The sketch of Fei-Yujing has long been collected and kept by himself. Although it is a pity to stay here to contain the black fog and white stone, Z knows that he cannot stay any longer because of the strange pink chain. The plan to capture the mist white stone must be postponed. Outside Sunagakure village, as the huge barrier was reversed, the entire village fell into panic. This was the first time in so many years that the village was trapped by the barrier formation. So many sand ninjas showed panicked looks. Get ready to fight. Ibizo, Yamaji Ryuko, and Ratsa appeared on the battlefield, only to see countless Konoha ninjas rushing into the top of the canyon mountains. Yamaji Ryoko took the lead, and countless sand and dust turned into a pair of giant hands, and waved out point the moment the sand hand took the shot. He saw a powerful fire escape technique that instantly broke up Yamaji Ryoko's offensive. Uchiha-san appeared next to Yamaji Ryoko with a teleportation technique and quickly stabbed out the kunai in his hand. Yamaji Ryoko shot countless chakra lines out of nowhere and actually grabbed the kunai in midair, and then a huge sand and dust restraint appeared under Uchiha-san's feet. As the contemporary patriarch of the Yamaji family, Yamaji Ryoko is naturally powerful. She perfectly combines the sand control technique with the puppet technique to create her own ninjutsu point, but Uchiha's mastery of teleportation was very strange and unpredictable. He took out his sword and turned it into a stream of flames, Uchiha style sword jumping flame, using Kodachi's fire escape to form a flame blade attack. It is a fire attribute ninjutsu with some wind attribute characteristics. Uchiha-san's combined wind and fire attack shattered countless sand and dust point. Since he has been a member of Anbu for many years, Uchiha-chan's intelligence information is limited. Yamaji Ryoko faced Uchiha-chan, who was good at speed illusions, and was at a disadvantage point in the violent explosion. Ibizo controlled the Earth Escape Square formation, and created a large number of clay giants to join the battle, but saw a wind escape sharp blade shot out, powerfully destroying Ibizo's clay giants. Looking at the old guy opposite who was wrapped in bandages and holding a cane, Ibizo couldn't help but laugh. Danzo, you old guy, do you want to die early in this state? Ibizo, aren't you still alive? As old rivals in the past few ninja wars, Ibizo and Danzo quickly faced off, and various ninjutsus such as wind release and earth release wreaked havoc on the battlefield. Outside the canyon, Konoha's offensive was fierce. Although the Suna ninja were struggling to resist, the numerical gap between the two sides was too huge, causing the Suna ninja to be in a constant retreat. The canyon defense line cannot be defended. The canyon of Sunagakure is very steep and can usually block an ordinary ninja village for a few hours. However, Konoha's attack was too strong and the barrier was reversed, causing the entire Sunagakure's morale to plummet, and they kept wailing for a while. Various secret techniques emerged one after another, as well as various powerful blood successor pressures. Facing the strongest ninja village in the world, the Suna ninja was instantly defeated. During the crazy retreat, Konoha's army rushed in crazily. Even without Namikaze Minato's finale, Konoha's overall strength still completely crushed the Suna ninja. Sealing class is ready. More than a dozen members of the Konoha sealing team arrived at the top of the canyon carrying a large number of scrolls. As Narashikaku gave an order, they instantly activated the seals and cast spells. This is, a large number of plants grew crazily from around Sand Hidden Village, expanding their area and spreading throughout the village. As the earth continued to shake, all the sand ninjas looked in disbelief. The first Hokages would release technique before the death of the first Hokage in the past. Reading www.ukanshu.net. The second Hokage asked him to prepare some wooden release ninjutsu and cell sealing. Most of the wooden release ninjutsu and cell sealing were sealed in these scrolls for future needs. The reason why Konoha can be called the strongest among the 5 ninja villages is because Konoha has a huge heritage that other ninja villages cannot imagine, including countless forbidden techniques and secret techniques that cannot be fully learned and mastered in a lifetime. Among them, the wooden escape scrolls left by the first Hokage are also one of the treasures of Konoha. In order to change the geographical environment of Sunagakure village and adapt it to the combat environment, Narashikaku applied to the Hokage to use these scrolls. There are currently only a small number of wooden escape scrolls left in Konoha village, and they are one-time consumables, so they are rarely used in actual combat. However, this time in order to conquer the mainland of Sunagakure village, Konoha gritted its teeth and released these scrolls. The wildly growing trees uprooted the entire Sunagakure village in an instant. In the process of forming countless giant trees, Sunagakure village suddenly fell into a huge crisis. Shineman, let's go to the third Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the Sunagakure village in front of him, quickly put on a combat uniform, and rushed into the Sunagakure village with Hinata Tenman, the contemporary head of the Hyuga family. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel. Mundo fanfic novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156, Shock. In the homeland of Sunagakure village, facing the invasion of Konoha, most of the old, weak, women and children in the village were moved to safe places before the battle point. Therefore, those who appeared in the village were all ninjas from Sunagakure village, and even many civilian staff picked up kune and prepared to fight. Konoha has also made great determination. This battle is to establish the future layout of the ninja world. Both sides understand the meaning of this and have already become jealous of each other. Surrounded by giant trees all over the sky, the current village environment suddenly changed drastically. Fengying Luosha controlled the sand gold to block it, but it was still impossible to avoid the strange expansion of the giant trees as lame Kazekage. Rasa was irritable inside. For the trouble Shiraishi had caused, he was now responsible for cleaning up the mess. This made him very unhappy. However, the Konoha army was pressing to the village gate, and he had to fight too. As long as I'm here, let's fight. Galeuluo, who was pregnant with a child, had not moved with the large army before, but chose to stay and fight with her husband. The sand control skills of the two complement each other, making them the best combination partner. With the assistance of Galeuluo, Eluosha's combat power has been upgraded to a new level. However, the two of them faced the opponent, the combination of Hyuga Tenman and Sarutobi Hirozen. Master Kazekage, can you bear to see your village become like this? Faced with the persuasion of the third Hokage, Giroro shot countless sand needles and interrupted with a cold face. Stop saying such false words. We are on the battlefield now. Third Hokage, the geographical environment of the Kingdom of Wind is itself covered with desert. Forcibly planting giant trees seems to have changed the environment of Sunagakure village for a while. In fact, after the war, due to environmental factors, these giant trees will still wither, wasting the village in vain. There is energy in the land. Countless sand blades tried to cut off these trees, but their growth rate was far faster than the sand ninja sniper speed. Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas, is still stationed in the camp, mainly to prevent the other two armies of Sunagakure from returning to support. But in fact, so far, no news of Sunagakure's retreat has been received. After sorting out a series of intelligence, Narashikaku raised his eyebrows. Kurogist Shiraishi does not intend to give up the current strategic advantage. Is Konoha mainland safe? Jiraiya was more worried that Kurogiri Shiraishi would directly attack Konoha itself, but Narashikaku shook his head. Neither distance nor time allows him to do this. Sunagakure wants to go to Konoha village, and there is Hanzo in the middle. Although Shiraishi successfully captured Ota district, it is located in the southern part of the Rain Country. If Shiraishi insists on going to Konoha through the Rain Country, it will mean crossing the entire Rain Country. In this country, Rain Ninja will never sit back and let him pass through it at will. At the same time, Narashikaku is also preparing countermeasures in the village itself. As Narashikaku's son, he is more prepared than his father for this battle of revenge and humiliation. Today's attack on Sunagakure's homeland, Black Mist Shiraishi will definitely return to support, and Konoha's target is also Sunagakure's uncrowned Kazekage. Will the Sand Ninja arrange a large number of detonating charms like last time? The possibility is not small, so I used wood release to conduct the first round of testing. I did detonate part of the detonating talisman, but the scale was not large. Speaking of this, Narashikaku looked into the distance. Now Kurogiri Shiraishi has not withdrawn the two armies, but directly returned to the village alone, which shows that he is very confident in his own strength, or he has arranged other means. The detonating talisman on Mount Kikayo is something Narashikaku must guard against. After the first round of exploratory attacks and the investigation of the Hyuga family, the burial place of the large-scale detonating talisman has not been found, which makes him even more vigilant. The battlefield gradually moved to the village, and the fierce battle between the two sides continued. Yamaji Ryuko faced off against Uchiha Hitachi. During the sand and dust surrounding, Yamaji Ryuko's hair spread all over her body, and the surrounding fine sand turned into sand snakes and attacked. The sky gradually turned black. Seeing this, Uchiha flashed the sword in his hand and turned into two after images to attack Yamaji Riko together. Countless sand snakes were cut off instantly. Uchiha style double flash wind. Uchiha-chan, who is good at illusions and physical arts, dances his sword extremely fast. The two after images appear to be after images performing physical attacks. In fact, the main body can be exchanged between the three at will point. This is a powerful teleportation technique passed down from the lineage of Uchiha Kagami. As a former subordinate of the second Hokage, Uchiha Kagami was inspired by the Flying Thunder God technique and created Uchiha's teleportation technique. Point in an instant, a bright red gash was opened on Yamaji Ryoko's palm. Although she avoided the vital point, she was still injured by Uchiha's endpoint. While taking a few steps back, Uchiha knew that the woman in front of him was a master of sand control. According to the instructions of Konoha's top management, ninjas who mastered sand control were the priority targets for elimination. Point because their sand control skills can be combined with black mist and white stone to create a more powerful desert realm. Point thinking of this, the sword in Uchiha's hand burst out with brilliant fire. Point Uchiha style halo dance. The moment the teleportation technique was activated, Uchiha instantly struck 3 times with the sword in his hand, and a fire shockwave swept over him. This shockwave has tracking properties and will produce wind properties when it hits. Stop. Looking down on people, countless chakra lines were combined with sand control, and the fine sand around Chanlulingzi gathered and turned into a desert monster that looked like a giant raccoon cat. It spit out powerful air cannons and swept directly towards him. Point but Uchiha's teleportation technique was even faster, and his body turned into an elusive shadow. The sword in his hand pierced Yamaji Ryoko's heart at an extremely fast speed. However, at the moment when the sword was about to penetrate, the sword seemed to be affected by some kind of force. The power was like interference, and it stopped in mid-air. Magnetic escape. The appearance of the giant civet cat transformed by Yamaji Ryoko began to change, and the color gradually became more metallic. Yamaji Ryoko's tone was not very friendly. Can you change your lateness problem? Do you really think you are the protagonist? I was held back by the scorpion. When mentioning the red sand scorpion, Yamaji Ryoko looked nervous. Knowing the current strength of Shiraishi, she became worried about the scorpion's condition. You didn't do anything to him, did you? Although so much has changed, what remains unchanged is that he is still a fanatical fan of Scorpion. He got punched and he got away with it. While the two were talking, countless silver white metal magnetic escapes restrained Uchiha. When he looked closely, he saw Shiraishi, who had taken off his glasses, wearing a light blue outfit, standing behind Ryoko Yamaji, assisting her to fight back. Point black mist and white stone. Uchiha flashed and got rid of the control of magnetic escape. He took out a special non-metallic kunai and flashed behind Shiraishi at a very fast speed. However, Shiraishi flicked countless sand and appeared behind Uchiha. Point the moment the immortal sword was raised, the whole earth began to commotion violently. There was a hint of restlessness in the wildly growing plants around. Point Beishi, who inherited Ashura's will, was not unfamiliar with wood release. Beishi raised one hand to the ground, and special mark runes suddenly appeared on his palm. Point sand control technique. For a time, a large number of forest trees withered and turned into desert where white rocks were needed. Sand silver continued to expand on the ground, as if all the previous arrangements made by Konoha were in vain. Point in the Kingdom of Wind. UU Reading www.ukanshu.net is Shiraishi's strongest battlefield. Under his control, countless sand and silver sprang up from the rioting land, turning into huge silver pyramids, standing at various locations in the barrier. The reversal of the barrier does not mean that it is unbreakable. Although the energy of the earth's veins serves as the core supply of the barrier, Shiraishi uses the most violent method to inject his own chakra into the barrier, to forcibly cut off the connection between the two. Point with the sound of the white stone seal clicking, dozens of silver giant pyramids seemed to be receiving induction. Huge energy stripes poured into the ground. At the same time, the entire Sand Hidden Village's reversal barrier was forcibly destroyed. The shattered light shines over the entire Sand Hidden Village. There are many ways to destroy the reversal barrier, but one method is the most brutal, which is to use your own huge chakra to forcefully destroy it. Shiraishi chose just such a method. This violent style made even the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen look shocked. The white stone standing in midair, illuminated by the light blue light of telekinesis, fully activated the supercomputing system in the regeneration core of the eyes. 7. Chapter 157. Eye peeling. After Shiraishi appeared, when these silver pyramids were erected in various directions in Sunagakure village, Narashikaku's heart skipped a beat, and he felt vaguely uneasy, and quickly ordered the members of the Hyuga clan in the perception class to investigate. There is a large amount of unknown chakra within these towers. Shikaku gritted his teeth and looked at the Hyuga family ninja on one side. What exactly is chakra? It's not clear yet. These chakras seem to be burning with flames. I have never seen such a chakra composition. The Hyuga family ninja tried very hard to check the blue flame structure inside the silver pyramid, but flames had never appeared in this kind of ninja world before, so it was difficult to make an accurate judgment, but he could clearly feel the terrifying energy in the flames. Jiraiya looked at the great power of Shiraishi from afar and couldn't help but be speechless, simply using his own chakra to destroy the earth energy supplied by the reversal barrier. This guy really is a tailed beast in the desert. The moment the black mist white stone appeared on the battlefield, the morale of the low sand ninja around them instantly increased, and cheers continued to ring out for a while. I don't know since when Shiraishi has been the backbone of Sunagakure village. When he appeared in everyone's eyes, he made everyone regain their fighting spirit and fight with Konoha ninjas with weapons in hand. 6 rings emerged, controlled by the power of metal magnetic escape, and turned into 6-dimensional holes. The mysterious dark wormhole appeared, giving everyone in Konoha an extremely powerful sense of oppression. What? Can one person change? Danzo quickly created a wind blade to attack Shiraishi, but he saw the figure twisting in an instant and suddenly appeared behind Danzo. The sage's sword turned around and fell without knowing when. The powerful blade made Danzo's eyes solemn. At the same time as the weapon blocked it, Shiraishi kicked him fiercely. In the moment, Uchihazen turned into an afterimage, blocking Shiraishi's kick for Danzo. Uchihazen held the scabbard in reverse, poured chakra into it, retracted his wrist, and dragged a bright and clear light, half stabbing and half hitting the enemy, echoing the previous blazing flames. When he faced the Uchiha tribesman for the first time, Shiraishi did not dare to be careless. He restrained his left arm, crossed his chest and abdomen with his fist, and struck horizontally. The scorch release combined with the fire of purgatory turned into a terrifying purple fire and blasted Uchihazen head on. Boom, boom. With 2 continuous sounds, the clear radiance dispersed. Uchihazen turned into countless afterimages, and multiple attacks with almost no intervals were firmly blocked. Uchihazen's mood was stable, without any fluctuations or depression, as if he had expected such a scene. After taking a few steps back and coughing violently, his 3 Magatama Sharingan eyes were fully locked on Shiraishi. At the moment when the afterimage was distorted, Uchihazen's joints were bent and then swung open. The sword was slashed out as fast as thunder. The sharp edge pierced the bone marrow. Water droplets condensed in the airflow wherever it passed, forming a vague cloud. In addition to fire escape, Uchiha-chan also mastered thunder escape. Shiraishi abandoned his fist and struck hard, hitting the blade of the blade just in time, covering it with a layer of red. The powerful scorching release explosion power was perfectly combined with Shiraishi's fist to form a huge red posture. When Uchihazen's long sword landed, the connection was tight and the speed was swift, showing a ferocious force that was completely different from his previous weak image. His body was already overwhelmed by the heavy burden, and he vowed to eradicate the enemy for Konoha. At this moment, Uchihazen had no distracting thoughts, and the sword in his hand, combined with the teleportation technique, turned into the fastest sword. Before this expedition, Uchihazen had already passed all the scrolls of the instant sword technique to his nephew Uchiha Shizu, so he had no worries, and vowed to defeat the powerful enemy of Konoha in front of him. A momentary afterimage, 2 moment afterimage, 3 moment afterimage, 5-moment afterimage, he surpassed his father Uchiha Kageme's instant killing attack and turned it into a powerful sword attack. The method that crossed the limit, the sword light of Tadao overlapped brightly, and it was indistinguishable from the afterimage, and the electric current grew bigger and bigger. The extremely terrifying instant kill, and the protective effect of 6 rings around the white stone, forming countless special areas that combine reality and reality, is the function of the ring to perform space-switching coordinate transfer. During Danzo Shimura's retreat, he and Abizo fought again. However, the third Hokage on the other side was still able to deal with Rasa and his wife with ease. While fighting, he analyzed Shiraishi's abilities. A previous teleportation movement allowed the third Hokage to confirm that Shiraishi had mastered a special space-time ninjutsu, and the medium should be the special black energy ball created by the ring in front of him. As a doctor in the ninja world, the third Hokage wanted to help Uchiha-chan, but in order to collect information on the current strength of Black Mist Shiraishi, he had to restrain himself and wait for the opportunity. The most important thing in a ninja battle is intelligence gathering. Facing Shiraishi's combination of virtual and real protection, blood spurted out from the corners of Uchiha-san's mouth. At this moment, he clenched the sword in his hand and transformed into more instantaneous afterimages. In an instant, it turned into 15 instantaneous afterimages. 15 afterimages attacked Shiraishi at the same time. The afterimages continued to appear and disappear, seemingly endlessly, until the opponent was completely exhausted. Here comes Zan's most powerful teleportation technique. The teleportation technique inherited from the Uchiha mirror is currently second only to Namake's Minato's Flying Thunder God's powerful teleportation technique. At the same time, this battle is also used as an intelligence reference for the next Minato battle. However, all this is meaningless in front of Shiraishi, who has 2 eyes with regeneration cores. Every afterimage produced by the instantaneous technique is captured and photographed, and then completely processed and summarized in a supercomputer in the process of precise calculation. Shiraishi's every defense was carefully calculated to skillfully block Uchiha-chan's attack. It's my turn to take action. Shiraishi took a step forward, and the momentum generated instantly caused this area to form a near vacuum state. With the help of the pressure generated by the imbalance, everything around him was thrown into it. No matter how powerful Uchiha's sword skills are, they are still far inferior to Ajura's. When Shiraishi and Ajura were practicing sword skills, the inability to capture thoughts was the most difficult thing to deal with. Because Ajura's sword hides its own will, it is impossible to tell where the next sword will appear after 2 years of practice. Shiraishi has gradually reached this threshold. When the airflow swept across the silver sword in his hand, Uchiha-san was unable to judge the specific direction of Shiraishi's sword. How can this be? The light from the sage's sword struck Uchiha-san directly at a speed that was impossible to dodge. The bright red crack on his neck symbolized the deterrent power of Shiraishi's sword. How is this possible? Zan's teleportation technique was broken with just one blow. An extremely ridiculous feeling filled everyone in Konoha. The sword strike just now was so fast that they had no time to react. Zan, comparing the third Hokage. Yu reads www.ukanshu. Net Shimura Danzo reacted quickly, shooting a sharp blade from the wind escape in his hand, trying to destroy Uchiha-san's body, just to prevent Sunagakure from obtaining the Sharingan point. But Shiraishi's attack was faster, and the sword he just struck turned into countless air vortices in midair, blocking Shimura Danzo's attack. At the same time, his attack was very decisive and ruthless, aiming directly at Uchiha-chan's body. This knife, Shanlo Lingzi was a little surprised. At the memorial ceremony of the sand, this sword killed the elder of the Shanlu family. 2 years later, his wind escape sword technique became even more weird and difficult to deal with. Cutting off Uchiha-san's head with one knife, Shiraishi quickly threw the head into the sand at his feet. Who's next? The third Hokage? Or the Sanin Jiraiya? As soon as he finished speaking, he saw the third Hokage taking action. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second. Mobile version reading website, chapter 158, Battle of the Two Heroes. NBSP. Shiraishi was not surprised by the appearance of Sarutobi Hiruzen. He held the immortal sword in his hand and a fierce aura loomed from Shiraishi. Compared to the previous duel with Uchiha-chan, Shiraishi didn't show much full strength point as the third generation Hokage of Konoha, the direct disciple of the first generation Hokage and the second generation Hokage. He cultivated the powerful Sannin in the ninja world. Proficient in ninjutsu with 5 chakra attributes. He enjoys the title of ninjutsu professor. He is also the longest serving Hokage in Konoha and created the heyday of Konoha Hidden Village. As the backbone of Konoha, after Uchiha-chan was instantly killed by Shiraishi with a sword, Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that he had to step forward to contain Black Mist Shiraishi, otherwise it would be difficult to continue this battle. Rasa and Gerudo were just about to step forward to support, but were locked by a huge chakra. When they turned around, they saw Hyuga Tenman urging the Hyuga fluid technique to attack, and the fierce battle suddenly resumed. However, as Shiraishi killed Uchiha-chan, the Sand Ninja's momentum suddenly recovered, and he continued to fight with the Konoha Ninja at various locations in the village. So, are you next? The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, Black Mist Shiraishi, give up your ambition. The Sharingan is not suitable for you. Although the Uchiha family does not get along with Konoha, they are the blood successors from Konoha after all. Another reason why Sarutobi Hiruzen took action was to take back this family. Double Sharingan. Mentioning the Sharingan, Shiraishi sneered, it's just a collection. I have no intention of transplanting it. Although the blood successor of the Sharingan is very powerful, Shiraishi has already mastered the round pupil ability. These fairy type moves developed with the help of the power of nature are no less valuable and potential than the Sharingan. After a brief conversation, both sides had already made their stances clear, and it was useless to talk more. Just as Shiraishi finished speaking, Sarutobi Hiruzen instantly formed a ball of fire and shot it at Shiraishi from a distance point, but he saw the sand silver magnetic release coiled around Beishi. Under the strong electromagnetic fluctuations, Lavender threw out a purple lightning energy ball, which streaked across the sky like a meteor. When the two sides were about to collide, Sarutobi Hiruzen's fireball suddenly split in midair. One sank, the other rose, one struck close to the bottom, and the other leaped over the obstacle and headed straight for the target. A good fire escape technique with changes and separations, all the way up and down, are all judgments and evaluations of one's own magnetic escape. As expected, the third generation of Hokage mainly focused on the collection of data point, but Shiraishi was not afraid. He grabbed it with both hands, and the magnetic field interference was instantly activated. Everything around him slowed down, as if being pulled by it. The fireballs from both sides gradually slowed down in midair, and were finally blocked by Shiraishi's sand escape. However, the third Hokage formed a seal and performed a spell at this time, and the surrounding ground began to roll and surge a little bit. The earth escapes from the earth and flows into the great river. After Shiraishi blocked the third Hokage's first round of fire escape attack, numerous mudslides suddenly appeared under his feet, quickly sweeping away the sand and dust under his feet. But Shiraishi's figure had already twisted and disappeared, and appeared on the other side. At this time, a huge water formation wall appeared around Beishi, and it forcibly bound him in the whirlpool. Sarutobi Hiruzen drew closer very quickly, suddenly emerged from the water, his whole back bent, and he crashed into the opponent's left side at high speed. The sheer force was suffocating. Although he is old, the power of the third Hokage's punch is very amazing. It is a special method that combines some strange power techniques and innate techniques. As the number 1 ninjutsu professor in Konoha, the third Hokage is proficient in a huge number of secret techniques and forbidden techniques. This explosive ninjutsu is also the first time he has appeared in front of everyone as 003C /U003E /U003E. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. Brit//U003E. It's amazing. Is this the strength of the third generation? It was the first time that several Konoha ninjas saw Sarutobi Hiruzen take action. A combination of escape techniques and a simple physical attack suppressed the arrogance of Kurogiri Shiraishi. For a time, the morale of Konoha's side, which was originally low due to Shiraishi's instant kill, gradually improved. Yes, the person facing Kurogiri Shiraishi now is the ninjutsu professor of our Konoha village, a great ninja. Shiraishi sensed the danger, pulled his waist, half turned his body, raised his left arm, clenched his fist and smashed it down. The moment the high temperature airflow of the scorching escape gathered at a point, the fire of purgatory burst out and circled closer, about to converge. At this moment, the power of Sarutobi Hiruzen's fist increased, and the speed of the explosion accelerated again. He actually dragged a faint afterimage, and got close to Shiraishi's body before his fist fell. A black dimensional hole appeared in the twisted and dissipated body. The third Hokage's expression changed, and he decisively gave up this round of offensive. Sweat ripped from both sides' foreheads almost at the same time. As expected of a ninjutsu professor, a few simple physical techniques and escape techniques almost cut him off from the send control technique, and even the time and space ninjutsu were targeted to a certain extent. Shiraishi was surprised that the old guy was difficult to deal with. And the third Hokage was even more shocked by Shiraishi's strength. Although his combination of attacks just now seemed simple, how many people in the current ninja world can easily block it? The two sides are still testing each other. The moment Shiraishi's whirlwind sword was fired, a huge water formation wall rolled up around him again. During the process of breaking the water flow, Sarutobi Hiruzen was seen holding a giant stick and striking hard. Ruai Vajra stick. This giant stick was transformed into a monkey demon, a psychic beast of the Sarutobi clan. It is very fierce in offense and defense. Thinking of this, Shiraishi's countless electromagnetic pulses are constantly spreading, forming a powerful magnetic field. Under the illumination of electromagnetic light, Shiraishi's whole body was covered with a layer of faint electric current, as if it was the thunder release ninja taijutsu of Cloud Hidden Village. The immortal sword turned around and slashed, as if a dragon's roar was heard, silvery white curled up, and the electric light flashed in the swirling stream. Shiraishi activated the immortal sword with one hand. Under the acceleration of the surrounding magnetic field, it became faster and faster, more and more powerful, like a leaping electric dragon or an electromagnetic gun fired. The explosion-like destructive power made Hiruzen Sarutobi quickly block it with the Ruai diamond rod in his hand. However, during the dazzling lightning explosion, Hiruzen Sarutobi felt his arms go numb, and was forced to take a step back. How is it possible that the third generation master lost in the physical competition? Nera, Shikaku in the distance, couldn't believe that the third Hokage would be beaten back by Shiraishi's sword. Sarutobi Hiruzen has always been almost a symbol of invincibility in the hearts of their generation, but today he was beaten back by the young Kurogiri Shiraishi. I'm getting old. Jiraiya looked at the third Hokage who was retreating. As his disciple, he couldn't help but sigh. The old man was not so invincible back then. Although the sword just now was fierce, it was almost impossible to force him to retreat at that time point. But Shiraishi's attack was not over. The sage's sword was getting faster and faster in the heavy magnetic field. In addition, the distance was also shortened, and a dazzling silver light burst out and headed towards Sarutobi Hiruzen. reading www.ukanshu.net so fast. Gritting his teeth, Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly swung the Ruai golden cudgel in his hand, forcibly blocking the silver sword attack. At the same time, the remaining electromagnetic cutting power left a shocking scar on Sarutobi Hiruzen's palm. To everyone's surprise, in the battle between Shiraishi and the third Hokage, Shiraishi had the upper hand and dominance from the beginning. /U003E 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 Chapter 159 Electromagnetic Field NBSP. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at the white stone surrounded by electromagnetism in front of him. The light blue light shining all over his body was astonishing. At the same time as he swung the Ruai golden cudgel, the third Hokage spat out a similar silver current, but Shiraishi stabbed it with his fingers, and the blade accelerated instantly, easily getting rid of the enemy's attack, and making it suffer surrounded by electric current. The sage's sword quickly stabbed in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Before he could dodge, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly raised his arms, raised his palms, and closed them inward, clamping the tip of the sage's sword in the center. Layers of violent fairy wine fire gathered in the palm of Sarutobi Hiruzen, blocking the crazy attack of electricity point. But at this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly had a premonition of danger, feeling that he had forgotten or neglected something 30 meters away. Beishi calmly gave up control of the immortal sword and calmly closed his palms. During the process of slapping each other, huge thunder escape energy condensed on countless sand silvers. A thunderbolt exploded out of thin air, ringing in the heart of Sarutobi Hiruzen, making him tremble all over. While his ears were ringing and dizzy, the electromagnetic field created by Shiraishi became more and more powerful. This kind of magnetic escape has surpassed the magnetic escape of the 3 types of sand escape. The fourth Kazekage Rasa was also a magnetic escape user, but when he saw how many ways and tricks Shiraishi had used magnetic escape, he couldn't help but feel a little frightened and discouraged. This kid was indeed a monster. Yamaji Riko looked at all this with a complicated expression. She was disheveled and had been severely injured in the previous battle with Uchiha-chan. Although she wanted to step in to help Shiraishi, she found that she had no way to help point Shiraishi's current state and level are far beyond those of ordinary sand ninja. Encouraged by Black Mist Shiraishi, the Suna ninja counterattacked fiercely, and for a while the Konoha army showed signs of retreat. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen gasped for air, holding the golden hoop in his hand, and quickly calmed down his mentality. Instinctively pounds to the side. Bang bang bang. Shiraishi separated his palms and pulled out a silver current as thin as a cicada's wings. It was extremely stunning. When the immortal's knife returned to Shiraishi's hand through the dimensional hole, it perfectly matched this silver current. With this special space-time ninjutsu, not only the caster can switch coordinates, but also the ninja tools can be switched. It has to be said that Shiraishi has now entered a very strange state. The combination of the space-time ninjutsu dimension cave, magnetic release, and sage blade taijutsu has formed a combat mode that even the third generation Hokage found very difficult. Perhaps only Minato, who mastered the flying thunder god, could suppress Kurogiri Shiraishi in terms of speed. Otherwise he would be as inaccessible as a hedgehog at the moment. Thunder release is the latest one to be developed among Shiraishi's 5 basic attributes of chakra, but because of its perfect fit with magnetic release, he has undergone many hard training in the past 2 years, and has shown strong combat effectiveness. The sage's sword slashed instantly and turned into a bolt of lightning. It immediately crossed the distance between the 2 sides and struck at the back of Hiruzen Sarutobi, dragging out a deep visible bone. The lightning danced wildly, and the extremely charred wound extended from the bottom of the shoulder. Come down. If Sarutobi Hiruzen hadn't noticed it in advance and evaded it in time, it would have hit him directly in the front, injuring the vital parts of his body, causing him to suffer severe injuries or even be cut in half. What a fast attack speed. Sandaime-sama, Nera. Shikaku's voice was a little frightened. He didn't expect that the attack speed of Kurogiri Shiraishi's sword was so terrifying. The third Hokage was cut out with such a big gash without hesitation. It was very scary. You have to believe him. That's a Hokage. Jiraiya still has great trust in his teacher. Since Shiraishi's first blow did not hit the vital point, the teacher will definitely have a way to deal with it next. As soon as his thoughts changed, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not dare to use a healing technique to eliminate the impact of the electric shock on his back and a huge wind blow around him. /U003E /U003E. This chapter is not finished. Please click on the next page to continue reading. Breaking through the airflow, avoiding the electromagnetic blade that was out of his control. It has to be said that the third Hokage has extremely rich combat experience. Several strong ninjutsu masters in the Hidden Cloud village in the past were all similar to Shiraishi's current path, so the third Hokage naturally has his own rules for dealing with it. Use wind escape. During the creation of countless air vortexes around him, the third Hokage seemed to have turned into a roly-poly, shaking and changing directions in the area, surrounded by countless electromagnetic fields. He competed with the Sage Sword controlled by Shiraishi for his agility, and soon gained the upper hand, and began to approach Shiraishi. Great. Now the distance between Black Mist and White Stone will be shortened. No, it's not that simple. The shorter the distance, the faster the switching speed of Shiraishi Sage's sword. Sarutobi Hiruzen gradually felt that Shiraishi was directly chopping with the sword, and he was no longer as relaxed as before. We must find a way to break the series of attacks by Black Mist and White Stone. The electromagnetic control of the Sage's sword, combined with the powerful sand gathering technique, gives Shiraishi a very strong endurance combat capability. The Third Hokage has implemented his own judgment in the battle so far. As long as he is in a desert environment, the Black Mist Shiraishi's chakra recovery speed is very fast. But now Shiraishi's body is constantly raging with electricity, his whole body is covered by silver light, and the immortal sword dances in his hand with a very brilliant offensive speed. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a step forward, only to see the Sage's sword slash down at high speed, and the electric light gushed out, almost scratching his back. At this moment, he suddenly turned around, and his hands had formed seals at some point. The moment the seal was completed, Hiruzen Sarutobi said majestically, "Wind release, peacock thousand-faced wind." The airflow suddenly shrank, solidified layer by layer, and turned into invisible airflows cutting the vortex. In the process, it successfully restrained the lightning speed of Shiraishi's immortal blade. Success. Although the old man is declining in age, he is still very experienced. He just made a great timing with his wind escape move, and directly cut off the chain offensive of the immortal sword of Black Mist White Stone. Peacocks Thousand Faces wind is just an ordinary B-level wind escape technique, but its advantage lies in its large scale. Although it is not very powerful, in this situation, it is the most perfect technique to trap the immortal sword. The purpose of the Third Hokage is very simple. First control the opponent's best weapon, and then go all out in close combat. Just thinking about consumption will not last long. Although he successfully used the wind escape technique to suppress the mobility of the Sage's sword, Sarutobi Hiruzen always felt that he seemed to have forgotten something. Not far away, Shiro raised his hand and turned his palm, and countless metal magnetic escapes instantly produced strong adsorption force. Suddenly, Sarutobi Hiruzen's hair stood up, and he gave up control of the Sage's sword without any hesitation, and quickly retreated. Under the dark clouds, a huge beam of electric current fell down, hitting the place where he originally stood, leaving a deep pit and smoking area. Shiraishi slowly floated in the sky, and countless silver sands gathered around it, creating a monster similar to the one created by Yamaji Ryuko before. However, this time it was filled with terrifying electric currents. Judging from the shape, it was similar to Shiraishi's. The orange cat's eye rays look similar. Oops, get out of here. The Third Hokage noticed Shiraishi's intention, and when he held the wishful golden cudgel in his hand and stepped forward, he saw Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas, suddenly rushing out. The psychic beast summoned a giant toad, holding a pipe, and blocking the electromagnetic orange cat in front of Shiraishi. Jiraiya teacher, please step back. You reading www.ukanshu.net. Without a large psychic beast, it will be difficult for you to deal with this kind of enemy. Just when Jiraiya took the initiative to take over the battle from the Third Hokage, Shiraishi's electromagnetic orange cat roared angrily, and suddenly the whole sky seemed to split open, and violent electricity suddenly blasted out. A domineering thunder and lightning light was spat out from the electromagnetic orange cat's mouth, and exploded directly in the direction of Konoha's base camp in the distance. /U003E 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 Chapter 160, Broken Arm with One Knife. The explosion like thunder and lightning beam fell directly on the rear base camp of Konoha. In the strong explosion impact, countless Konoha ninjas suffered disaster and kept wailing for a while. The ninjas currently staying in the Konoha base camp are mainly composed of the medical class, the sealing class, the barrier class, and the perception class. The first attack of the huge electromagnetic creature controlled by Shiraishi turned the back of Konoha upside down. Jiraiya's purpose in taking over the battle was obvious. Now that the third Hokage was the spiritual pillar of Konoha, there could be no more mistakes. Otherwise, the blow to Konoha's morale would be fatal. Jiraiya, this little sand ninja is not easy to deal with. Gamabunta was holding his pipe, seemingly casually, but in fact he was already in a state of preparation for war. Jiraiya laughed loudly. Even though his opponent was very difficult this time, he still laughed boldly. I still have to trouble you. Cut. While Gamabunta was talking and jumping, violent high temperature energy was generated around him. Jiraiya made a preemptive strike and used the combined ninjutsu Toad Oil Flame Bomb with Gamabunta. Here comes Jiraiya-sama's combined ninjutsu. As one of the 3 powerful ninjas in the ninja world, Gamabunta is Jiraiya's most frequent partner. A series of large-scale combination ninjutsu are a headache for every village. The combination of fire and oil is difficult to extinguish with ordinary water escape. However, Black Mist Beishi has mastered the magnetic escape technique, so this move should not be difficult to block. The third Hokage, who was still recovering from injuries caused by various electric currents, was staring intently at the battle between Jiraiya and Shiraishi on the battlefield. Nerishikaku on the side worked hard to analyze the changes in the battle between the two sides. Lord Hokage has tried his best. After a series of fierce confrontations, his physical strength cannot keep up. Some attacks that he could easily avoid in the past are now very difficult to parry. Bunta's oil combines with Jiraiya's fire escape to produce a huge oil flame bomb to attack the opponent. Because it has a wide range and is difficult to escape, the damage is extremely high. Although it is a fire escape, it is harder to resist than the ordinary water escape. Because of the toad oil, the large creature made of sand silver was directly swallowed by the flames as it was unable to escape from the attack of the fire. During the flash of bursting light, the white stone quickly levitated and moved back. Suspended in the air. The combination of telekinesis and magnetic escape made Beishi very mobile. Looking at the crazy fire coming, as Beishi turned his palms, the remaining sand silver that had been defeated regrouped and turned into a huge wall, directly blocking the fire. Facing Jiraiya, who seemed to be the most mediocre among the 3 ninjas, Shiraishi did not dare to be careless. The silver knife in his hand flashed with silver lightning and instantly turned into an afterimage and shot out, creating countless electric chilling shadows around him. So fast, while countless blue cicadas were flying, the dimensional hole was forcibly twisted. Shiraishi appeared in front of Jiraiya. The electricity in his hands gathered for an instant and turned into a sharp claw attack, outlining a gorgeous silver arc. The claws were fierce, but Jiraiya still opened his arms to fight. When his body quickly fell to the ground, he saw the dimensional hole flashing like a shadow, and Shiraishi appeared on the ground first. Facing the attack of Black Mist Shiraishi, Jiraiya turned his hair and counterattacked with Jizo. Faced with the attack of countless stinging needles, Shiraishi did not evade. The electric light condensed in his hand shot out an electric blade. The electric blade cut. Jiraiya quickly sank down, pointed one hand at the ground, and used the unearth escape technique. The entire ground turned into a huge mudslide, directly trapping Shiraishi's body. Gamabunta came to kill him with a long sword. Toad Tanto Slash is a method in which Gamabunta uses a huge short sword he carries with him to kill as quickly as possible. Because the giant sword is huge and powerful, the person who performs the technique will be seriously injured. What? A beast. Facing the toad's beheading, Shiraishi raised one palm to the sky. As the silver sand rolled up under his feet, the silver sand and electric current began to condense and combine, turning into a giant knife filled with huge electromagnetic energy. During the electromagnetic surround process, the chakra generated by the sand gathering technique quickly condensed on Shiraishi's palm. This electromagnetic knife illuminated the entire sand-hidden village, as if it enveloped everything. This kind of technique, it is a very simple shaping giant sword, but sand ninjas who are proficient in sand control know how difficult it is to achieve Shiraishi's level with a seemingly simple method. Whether it is chakra or control, it is not something they can do. Arrive. Point knife to knife. Amidst the clashing sound of explosive metal impact, the electromagnetic giant sword produced a powerful magnetic field storm, which directly blew Gamabunta away. When the giant sword in his hand was shaken away, Gamabunta's palms were still in a numb state. Is this little guy still a human? However, at this time, the Shiraishi dimensional cave suddenly appeared in front of Gamabunta, and the second condensed huge electromagnetic knife was thrust out. The speed and power were so fast that Gamabunta's expression changed drastically. In the process of moving quickly, his right arm was still too late to block the sudden appearance of a second knife in the Beishi dimensional cave. His right arm was cut off directly, and then disappeared in a burst of white mist. Apparently, just as Shiraishi condensed the first electromagnetic knife, the second knife was also produced in the dimensional cave. However, after Shiraishi created the two knives, the chakra consumed still made him a little tired. Can't find any loopholes for the people of Konoha. Although Gamabunta was eliminated, Jiraiya was still watching intently from the sidelines. Shiraishi made a quick decision and quickly sprayed out countless black mist to spread. One of Shiraishi's famous techniques in the ninja world. Although Jiraiya was prepared, the moment he touched the black mist, he felt a biting chill. Compared with the black mist technique 2 years ago, the current black mist with a huge chill. This combines the ice escape attribute with the black mist to create a brand new black mist technique. As a ninjutsu professor, the third Hokage quickly discovered the secret of Shiraishi's black mist technique. It was obvious that this was his new improved and upgraded black mist technique. Ice escape is not a very difficult thing for Shiraishi. After mastering the wind attribute and water attribute chakra, his skill card has many ice escape ninjutsus suitable for him to master, but this is not what Shiraishi needs. More changes in the use of ice escape are integrated into the black mist surgery, creating a stronger black mist. As the black mist invades, the ground gradually condenses into frost. Shiraishi moves fiercely with extremely heavy steps. A punch was thrown out, and the domineering and heavy power made Jiraiya's expression change. As he continued to retreat, the surrounding water columns suddenly spurted out from the ground. During the high-speed rotation, the surrounding area changed dramatically. Water formation wall. This move made Jiraiya suddenly recall the battle with Hanzo in the past. Reading www.akshu. Net. He also used this mysterious water formation wall restraint method to suppress himself repeatedly. Jiraiya-sama, his chakra is now showing signs of decay. Destroying the magnetic escape is the top priority. Otherwise, after he uses the black mist technique for a period of time, his chakra will be almost restored. With the help of the analysis of the Hyuga family ninjas, Narashikaku finally found Shiraishi's current weak state. He continuously fought with Uchiha-chan, the third Hokage, Jiraiya and the giant psychic beast Bunta. Black mist. Shiraishi's physical exhaustion was serious. Countless bugs turned into a storm and covered Shiraishi with black mist at high altitude. Although they were constantly frozen, these special bugs still absorbed Shiraishi's chakra bit by bit. In addition to these bugs, 15 Konoha elite jounin appeared at the same time, surrounding Shiraishi in an encirclement battle formation mode. Ibiza was furious when he saw this. Despicable Konoha, do you only know how to fight in wheels? Konoha was indifferent to Suna Ninja's glare. Chapter 161, Shanlulingzi. The Suna Ninja wanted to go up and help, but firstly, there were currently more Konoha ninjas than the Suna ninjas, and secondly, the area around the Shiraishi battlefield was very empty, because the previous battles between him and the third Hokage, Jiraiya and Gamabunta were too large, so no one else could. Don't avoid it. Facing the siege of Konoha, Shiraishi's face remained indifferent. The moment he held the silver knife in his hand, the cold and low temperature generated by the black mist exploded like layers of broken ice. Countless ice blades were projected out, and while a Konoha jounin used a kunai to block it, he saw a silver blade twisted out of the dimensional hole, and at this moment, he stabbed his heart with the blade. In an instant, the ninja's body turned into a puddle of mud and stone, and turned into smoke. The timing of the substitution technique was almost seamless, indicating that his strength was the top combat power among Konoha's elite jounin. The 15 elite jounin who cooperated with Jiraiya and the third Hokage in the siege are all the best jounin in Konoha in all aspects. Although they are no match for Shiraishi one-on-one, their basic combat qualities are extremely difficult to deal with. Combined with the assassination method, the dimensional hole can be quickly avoided by using the substitute technique, which is enough to illustrate the strength of the Konoha jounin just now. Although he successfully avoided Shiraishigo's sword, the Konoha ninja still had lingering fears. You keep your distance and observe the movements of the 6 rings, Shiraishis. Time and space ninjutsu can be transferred with the help of rings, regardless of people or other things. Although the ability is very troublesome, now that you have the information, it will not be so troublesome to deal with it. Narashikaku's shadow was slowly diving deep into the ground. When he was waiting for an opportunity to move, the back of the white stone in midair turned into a pair of silver wings, and then shot out countless densely packed silver feathers. Magnetic release Sandine, a technique used for aerial combat. Sand iron is compressed at high density on the shoulders to form a pair of giant bat wings. Countless sand iron feathers are launched from the center of the wings for long-range attacks. A part of the black mist energy and electromagnetic fluctuations are condensed in Shiraishi's silver needles, paralyzing the infected person and losing their combat effectiveness. The speed is so fast that it is difficult to catch it with the eyes. Each sand iron feather is equipped with tracking capabilities. This move has limited power and damage, but it has a wide range and is suitable for Shiraishi to fight with. But the third Hokage rejoined the battle, and after removing Shiraishi's feather attack with a move of Earth Escape, time was running out for Shiraishi. No matter how powerful Kurogiri Shiraishi is, he is only one person after all. Facing so many powerful people in Konoha, even if his strength is incredible, he still cannot break through the encirclement point after the impact of the explosion. Shiraishi, who used sand silver to defend himself, finally left the first scar on his face. This was the third Hokage's sneak attack just now. Narashikaku stared at Shiraishi on the battlefield. Being able to die under such a lineup, Black Mist Shiraishi is enough to make a name for himself in the ninja world. The more unfavorable the situation was, the calmer Shiraishi became. As countless feathers transformed from sand silver spread out in all directions, they left small magnetic sand areas on the ground, and black runes gradually appeared. At this time, Jiraiya and the third Hokage cast their own spells, instantly shattering Shiraishi's wings. During the vertical fall, the silver sword danced with brilliant sword skills, and fought fiercely with Sarutobi Hiruzen's giant stick and Jiraiya's taijutsu. Together, although it is very embarrassing to team up with Jiraiya to deal with a junior in the ninja world, the third generation Hokage is Hokage after all, not an old stubborn who cannot change. At this point in the battle, both sides have no way out and must decide the winner. The battlefield centered on 3 people, coupled with the support of a large number of Konoha ninjas, made Shiraishi more and more exhausted as he fought, and the surrounding silver dust continued to recede. Ibiza was very anxious because the situation in Shiraishi was getting more and more unfavorable. If it continued like this, sooner or later he would die in Konoha's war. Although Shiraishi's current record is enough to shock the ninja world, it is by no means at the cost of his final fall. Ibizo, you are distracted. The wind escape was instantly blasted out, and while Ibizo spit out a mouthful of blood, the bayonet in Danzo's hand struck quickly, but he saw countless chakra lines building a defense, and the two continued to fight. Danzo knew very well that soon a ninja must not be allowed to support Shiraishi, especially Rasa, Garura, Ibizo, Yamaji Ryuko and others. During the several battles between Garuro and Hinata Shineman, he could sense that his husband was absent-minded, and his eyes couldn't help but darken. Now was Sunagakure's life and death moment. Why was he still so selfish? Shiraishi, as a member of the Kazekage's personal guard, Yoshamaru tried to come forward several times to assist, but was trapped by a large number of Konoha ninjas. Apparently all Konoha ninjas had a consensus that Kurogiri Shiraishi must die here. Kurogiri Shiraishi's powerful display just now made everyone in Konoha very scared, because from the young Shiraishi, he seemed to see the shadow of Uchiha Madara in the past. There must never be a second Uchiha Madara in the ninja world, and it's not even the Uchiha Madara who was born in Konoha. The number of magnetic escape shots is becoming increasingly rare, and the sand under Shiraishi's feet has long been destroyed by various escape techniques. This is the case in ninja combat. The more trump cards are exposed, the easier it is to be targeted. After Shiraishi's 2 battles with Sarutobi Hiruzen and Jiraiya, most of the methods and abilities were figured out by Konoha. In this case, Konoha ninja's fighting method is more targeted. Intelligence is always the most critical factor in ninja battles. Shiraishi took a few steps back, and the water formation wall blocked the opponent's attack. At the same time, the regeneration core in his eyes kept calculating, trying to find an opportunity to perform the sand gathering technique. As long as you perform the sand gathering technique again, you can complete the technique. However, Konoha's attacks became more and more intensive. When Shiraishi killed a Konoha rally jounin with one sword, Hiruzen Sarutobi smashed Shiraishi's shoulder with a stick. When half of his arm fell vertically, the silver sword in his hand turned into a silver sword. Because of the electromagnetic whirlwind, he crushed the head of another Konoha jounin. Even killing 2 Konoha jounin could not change Shiraishi's current predicament. Suddenly, the ground rumbled again. Under the surprised gazes of both sides, Yamaji Ryuko, with disheveled hair and blood all over her body, stepped onto the battlefield, where Shiraishi and Konoha were fighting. Danzo was stunned when he saw Yamaji Ryuko appear. According to Danzo's understanding, the head of the Yamaji family would never assist Shiraishi at this time, because the 2 sides were incompatible with each other. Although they cooperated briefly several times, the conflicts were alleviated because of interests, but she just showed up. Yamaji Ryuko, who looked cold and solemn, had been recuperating in the dark, just after being rescued by Shiraishi. Even Shiraishi had forgotten her existence, but she appeared again without hesitation. A Konoha ninja quickly attacked, but saw that Yamaji Ryuko exchanged injuries for injuries. He ignored his opponent's kunai and pierced his chest, and the chakra thread on his hand also pierced his opponent's neck. A huge amount of sand and dust rolled up all around, and Shanjiling's own blood dripped on the ground. At the same time, the special forbidden technique of the Shanji family was activated, and the dust rolling around became more violent and violent. Facing the support of the sand ninja, several Konoha ninjas projected kunai and pierced the body of Yamaji Ryuko, only to find that her body seemed to be combined with the entire sand and dust, making it impossible to destroy. The Shanlu family's final forbidden sand control technique is to combine one's own vitality with the sand control technique to create a forbidden death desert area. As long as the casters will still exists, this desert will not dissipate. The 3 families of sand release all have similar techniques. For example, in history, before Gaara passed away, he poured part of his chakra will into Gaara's body. These sands have been protecting Gaara ever since. The reason why Yamaji Ryuko helped Shiraishi complete the final technique on the battlefield was actually not too complicated. It was just because she was also a sand ninja. Because her body was too seriously injured. After completing the sand control and assisting Shiraishi, reading www.ukanshu.net, Yamaji Ryuko slowly closed her eyes. He helped Shiraishi without any purpose other than for the village he loved. At the last moment of her life, many people appeared in her eyes, including her mother Yamaji Tachibana, her uncle Eriko Arakata, and her favorite teacher, Akasaka no Scorpion. I only hope that you will no longer be alone in the future, teacher. The consciousness dissipated, and Shanjiling's tears turned into a drop of sand, falling on Shiraishi's hand. Holding the sand made Shiraishi feel even heavier. Yamaji Ryuko's last sand control technique helped Shiraishi gather sand to repair chakra. At the same time, the black identifier text previously shot by the magnetic escape bloomed with dazzling light under Shiraishi's control. Hundreds of silver pyramids suddenly appeared from the sand, and while they were suspended upside down in the air, green flames burned out from the tops of the towers. The Third Kazekage's eyelids twitched, and his body instinct told him that the burning blue flames in front of him had a very terrifying and fatal feeling. Fear suddenly surged into the hearts of all Konoha ninjas. Chapter 162. Feel the pain of Kingayan. A large number of silver pyramids were suspended in mid-air, and the burning cyan flames produced a powerful burning sensation that stung the eyelids of everyone in Konoha. A silent fatal feeling emerged in everyone's hearts. The white stone suspended in mid-air, with its leering posture, allowed the Third Kazekage to vaguely see the shadow of Shiraishi Hamadara from the former ninja world. Shiraishi stepped in the air. Although the sand gathering technique repaired his missing chakra in time, the injuries on his body forced him to grit his teeth and hold on, and he must not let Konoha discover his flaws. Thinking of Shiraishi grabbing it with one hand, the three pyramids fell first. As they swooped in at high speed, they saw Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas, making a move. A water bomb quickly spit out and hit the pyramids. Jiraiya's water bomb was very powerful, but it had no impact at all on the green flames burning on the pyramid. Instead, the fire became more intense, crackling and raging with sparks, making the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyelids twitch wildly. Although he is old, his vision is very ruthless. This kind of inextinguishable flame should be the last trump card of Black Mist Beishi. He had imagined that he would have hidden methods, but he did not expect it to be such a fierce move. Witnessing the Hyuga Tenman, he jumped up and prepared to use Hyuga fluid technique to suppress Shiraishi's movements. However, the sudden appearance of the dimensional hole and the blue flames shot out from it made it inevitable for the Hyuga family head to avoid it. The 6-dimensional holes, once connected with the green flames, are Beishi's strongest means of protection. Anyone who tries to get close will be swallowed up and destroyed by the green flames. His whole body was wrapped in green flames. Hyuga Shineman tried to use Kaiten to repel these flames. This was also the Hinata family's many years of combat experience. Therefore, when other Konoha ninjas were still hesitating, he took action very decisively. However, the next scene was unforgettable for everyone in Konoha. Hyuga Shineman was unable to escape the entanglement of the power of the blue flames. The flames were burning more and more intensely under the influence of Kaiten. Screams like slaughtering pigs resounded in the sky. As Hinata Shineman slowly fell to the ground, green flames quickly covered his whole body. Go. Put out the fire. The medical team tried to step forward, but at this time the aura of the Hyuga Shineman was getting weaker and weaker. The contemporary head of the Hyuga family was burned alive like this. Shikaku, prepare to retreat. As the leader of Konoha, the third Hokage made a prompt decision and allowed a large number of Konoha ninjas to retreat first. However, Shiraishi's offensive did not end so simply. In an instant, the silver pyramids on the nodes of the Sunagakure barrier also burned. A violent green fire erupted. Countless green flames condensed into huge green fire clouds high in the sky and then drifted above the Konoha leaves, forming a dense and continuous rain of fire. The shrill wails continued, and all the ninjas hit by the green flames were unable to extinguish the terrifying flames and burned them to ashes. Some of the ninjas who reacted quickly took off their clothes and let the green flames continue to burn. But at this time, the white stone silver knife turned, and the searing airflow and the green flames condensed to form a sharp green blade, which cut down instantly. Wherever the sword light went, it turned into a bloody storm. Because of this strange green flame, it completely disrupted Konoha's deployment. However, the sand ninja did not dare to rush forward. The green flames in front of them could not distinguish between ourselves and the enemy, so they could only watch. Shiraishi defeated the Konoha army alone. The white stone figure standing in the sky, controlling countless blue flames. At this moment, the impression of it is lingering in the minds of countless sand ninjas in troubled times. Who is the hero? Under Shiraishi's control, King Iron gradually completed the blockade formation, trapping everyone in Konoha in the Sunagakure village, and then the green fire rain continued to fall crazily. A unilateral massacre. The huge green flames that Shiraishi had stored up for 2 years poured out this time, enough to completely defeat Konoha. However, Shiraishi's offensive was not over. A dozen silver pyramids burning with blue flames, controlled by Shiraishi, crashed into the distant Konoha base camp. Jiraiya's expression changed drastically, and he quickly prepared to use the scroll to seal part of the green flames, but the fire burned too fast, and Konoha's retreat was blocked in the canyon almost in the blink of an eye. In the direction of Konoha base camp, the sign fire in the valley in the distance was so dazzling that the people behind Konoha were stunned in place. During the process, they saw a large number of pyramids suddenly appearing in the sky. Oops, it's sign flames. Stop it quickly. Shiraishi used indiscriminate bombing on the base camp behind Konoha. More than half of the silver pyramids came here to greet them. After the impact of the violent storm, the entire rear of Konoha fell into a sea of blue fire. A previous electromagnetic light beam bombing destroyed part of the base campground and caused fire, but the damage was limited in the end. But everything is different. Green flames instantly spread throughout the Konoha camp, and a large amount of water was shot out. However, it was all in vain. As silver pyramids exploded behind Konoha, the third Hokage's lips wriggled a few times, but he couldn't say anything he wanted to say. After Shiraishi obtained the repair of the sand gathering technique, he could easily break through Konoha's blockade with the help of telekinesis and magnetic levitation, and directly project these huge silver pyramids to explode at the base camp point. Narashikaku's face was pale. He had never expected that the result of this battle would be even more disastrous than that of the Battle of Mount Kikyo. The originally foolproof plan was reversed by the blue flames of Shiraishi. Will Ye Cang's burning release be further improved into this special flame? Ibizo looked at the blue sky in front of him and finally understood what his disciple's trump card was. With the power of these blue flames, he could make Konoha feel the labor pain unexpectedly. Danzo almost crushed the crutch in his hand. What does the intelligence department do for food? Every year, Konoha spends a lot of energy investigating various information about Kurogiri Shiraishi, but every time Shiraishi fights, he will show a completely different fighting style, as if he is always making progress, making it difficult for Konoha to discover where his limits are. Although Konoha was very reluctant, the huge silver pyramid group behind the black mist white stone was too spectacular, giving people an invincible attitude. Therefore, when Jiraiya used a special sealing technique to break through the blue flame blockade, Konoha quickly retreated to the canyon point. The canyon slope of Sunagakure village is extremely high. Under normal circumstances, ordinary ninjas can only leave through this very crowded passage. A small number of jounin use special escape techniques to move away. Facing Shiraishi's terrifying blue flame, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not dare to let the Konoha ninjas enter this death passage. Reading www.ukanshu. Net therefore chose to let everyone use Earth escape to climb back, while some elite jounin were responsible for breaking up the rear. The dimensional hole flashed, and Shiraishi quickly appeared behind Jiraiya and the third Hokage. A huge force of green flames was about to be smashed down. Another toad appeared beside Jiraiya at some point, and the seal instantly opened a special reverse direction. Spiritualism. As the smoke dissipated, 16 special kunai were shot out and inserted into specific locations in the mountains. At the same time, a figure flashed past, pressed behind the third Hokage and Jiraiya, and disappeared in front of Shiraishi in an instant. Seeing this scene, Shiraishi, who had always been serious about his words, took off his glasses and showed a hint of a wild smile. Minato. Namikaze, until you finally show up, you are my most anticipated opponent. In this ninja world, if there is anyone who can excite Shiraishi, it is Konoha's golden shining Namikaze. Minato. P.S. I have worked hard to code a chapter, and I'm still feeling a little uncomfortable. I have to go out to get some water in the afternoon. I will resume normal updates tonight. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163, Golden Flash. Namikaze. Minato is a direct disciple of Jiraiya and a disciple of the third Hokage. He belongs to the direct line of the most authentic Hokage. Over the years, Namikaze Minato has shocked the ninja world at a speed that no one can match, and is known as the Golden Flash. High-level officials from all countries, except the Fire Country, have ordered that anyone who encounters Konoha's Golden Flash can escape immediately without being punished. During the battle with Kumo Ninja, Minato met Ai, the son of the third generation Raikage of Kumo Ninja Village, who considered himself the strongest combination at the time, and later became the fourth generation Raikage, and his sworn brother, the eight-tailed Jinchuriki. Rabbi Ai, who prides himself on his speed, ignores the Cloud Ninja Village's orders to treat Golden Flash and challenges Minato. During the battle, Minato used the Flying Thunder God, which was faster than Ai, and injured the eight-tailed tail. In the Battle of Kanekun Bridge, Namikaze Minato even showed his prowess, breaking through the blockade of Iwagakure's army by one man. With the last supply point being eliminated a few days ago, Namikaze Minato completed the victorious battle against Iwagakure. Namikaze Minato's fighting talent is even more unparalleled. In the future battle with Obito, who mastered the Kamu space, He discovered Obito's flaw in just 2 rounds and defeated the enemy with 1 blow point. If he hadn't been worried about the 9 tails that was raging in the village, how would Uchiha Obito have survived in the future? Flying Thunder God technique. This technique was originally created by the second Hokage. It uses the technique to achieve instant movement and transcend instantaneous body. The user will leave the Flying Thunder God technique wherever his body can touch it. When a spell is left on the enemy's body, it means that a curse mark representing death is written on it. This technique can achieve speeds beyond instantaneous movement, allowing the caster to freely travel through time and space, and travel between battlefields at will point facing the predicament facing Konoha in front of him. Namake's Minato looked at the raging blue flames on the battlefield around him, with a hint of heaviness in his eyes. Shiraishi and Namake's Minato had a relationship 2 years ago, and now that they meet again, their positions are even more antagonistic. During the levitating process in the dimensional hole around Shiraishi, a person appeared in front of Namake's Minato. In order to test the speed of the golden flash, the silver knife in Shiraishi's hand condensed a huge electric current. The moment the blade was slashed, Namake's Minato used Flying Thunder God to disappear in front of Shiraishi. However, the dimensional hole followed him like a shadow. At the same time as Namake's Minato switched coordinates, the green flames condensed into a blue flame projectile and shot out. The purpose of Namake's Minato coming to the battlefield was very clear. He did not show up to fight Shiraishi, but used his Flying Thunder God to help many of Konoha's friends evacuate Sunagakure village. During the Battle of Mount Kikyo, faced with riots of detonating symbols all over the world, Minato Namake's also relied on his own mobility to allow a large number of Konoha ninjas to evacuate safely. But this time, the situation is much more serious than in the past. Another round of Shiraishi's burning green flames was projected out of the pyramid. At the same time, Namake's Minato released a large number of Flying Thunder Gods, and then formed a special time and space barrier in mid-air, which actually transferred part of Shiraishi's blue flames to other spaces. The Flying Thunder God guides thunder, and uses magic to open a barrier. The attack released within the barrier can be transferred to another Flying Thunder God Kuno place with the Flying Thunder God. Even large-scale attacks such as the tailed beast Jade can be transferred. Shiraishi's dimension cave space-time ninjutsu is very similar to Namake's Minato's Flying Thunder God in all aspects, but Shiraishi's coordinates only have 6 dimensional holes, while Namake's Minato's special Kune has far more than 6. However, the dimensional cave can move at a certain speed, and is a coordinate point for free movement. Both sides have their own advantages in space-time ninjutsu. However, in this situation, Shiraishi also has few ways to deal with Namake's Minato, who keeps flashing. Thinking of the electromagnetic power contained in this white stone magnetic release, it stimulated the cells of the body. Under the light of the electric current, it turned into a ray of light and rushed towards Namake's Minato. Although they are all time and space ninjutsu, during the contact battle between the two parties, relying on electric current to stimulate the body cells will bring Shiraishi's reaction and fighting speed to a higher level. As soon as the sound of breaking through the sky entered Namake's Minato's ears, Shiraishi was already approaching, and his fist was prepared in advance. The high temperature energy generated by the scorching release caused a layer of flame to ignite during the friction, covering the entire fist. Almost in the blink of an eye, while Namake's Minato's body was erratic, he seemed to be drifting with the current, swinging back. His fist penetrated through, but failed to hit the opponent's face. The distance between them was shortening inch by inch, but the trend was getting slower and slower at this moment. In Shiraishi's eyes, Namake's Minato disappeared and appeared at another angle, and the Rasengan suddenly condensed out of his hand. Facing the attack of the Rasengan, Shiraishi's ring flashed, and the dimensional hole directly turned into attack mode. During the energy impact of both sides, the huge airwave generated almost exploded the entire air. Shiraishi didn't have much energy left, but he had to speed up the pace of delaying Namake's Minato. Thinking of this, Shiraishi controlled the remaining chakra and spit out a huge black mist airflow, covering the entire field. The black fog covered the site, which affected Minato. Namake's rescue operation. Sunagakure is delaying my time. Aware of his opponent's intentions, Namake's Minato was not interested in fighting at all. During the collision between the Rasengan and the dimensional hole, a teleportation technique appeared behind the third Hokage and others. The third Hokage, Jiraiya and even Danzo were transferred out of the battlefield by Namake's Minato, but ordinary Konoha ninjas touched by King Iron were not. So lucky point. If the hands and feet were contaminated, they would immediately cut off the arms or legs, and most of the others would be burned to ashes. As thick black fog enveloped Konoha was extremely frightened for a while. More than half of the Konoha ninja were devoured and sacrificed by the green flames, and many of the remaining half were seriously injured. No matter how fast Namake's Minato was, he could not save more people. Compared with the possible danger of the entire army being destroyed, Namake's Minato's ability to perform time and space ninjutsu is very amazing. Do you still need to pursue me, regardless of his injuries? Ibizo stepped forward and asked Shiraishi, "Do you reading www.ukashu.net?" After all, although Konoha is using the Flying Thunder God to evacuate, the distance will not be too far. If they pursue it, they may be able to expand the results. No need. Prepare negotiators. As long as Konoha recognizes our interests in the Kingdom of Korra and the Kingdom of Rain, other aspects of compensation will need to be operated at the daimyo level. If Konoha's group of sad soldiers pursues it again, they are afraid that it will cause Konoha to fight back desperately. There are not many green flames left, and there has just been a large-scale bombing. Sunagakure's mainland has also suffered a certain impact, and he still needs to deal with the aftermath. At the same time, facing countless seriously injured Konoha ninjas in front of him, the third generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but have tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry, it was me who underestimated Sunagakure and made a big mistake, which made the situation in Konoha become dangerous again in this ninja world war." The elderly third Hokage, with a hint of trembling in his tone, looked at all the Konoha ninjas with a sad expression. The third generation of adults Namake's Minato was about to step forward to comfort him, but he saw Sarutobi Hiruzen patting Namake's Minato on the shoulder and shaking his head. "Minato, in fact, you are more suitable to be Hokage than me. I'm old after all." Chapter 164. Uchiha Madara's attention. Lord Daimyo, the result of the war between Konoha and Sunagakure is out. In the palace of the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind, the daimyo was eating grapes lazily, drinking wine and looking at the documents sent by the minister. The daimyo was not in a particularly good mood during this period. He originally wanted to take advantage of Konoha's invasion to deprive Shiraishi of his position as jounin squad leader, and at the same time, take back the interests of Kono Kuni and some of the eastern mining areas. As for defining him as a traitorous ninja, the daimyo felt that it was unnecessary. After all, his strength was also a shock to Konoha, and a proper beating would be enough. As a result, Sunagakure pushed back on all this, and even Luosha didn't express his position. His attitude of killing first and then showing off last time made him very unhappy. A mere ninja dared to despise him like this. So, how much compensation are Sunagakure prepared to pay? Tell them, if Konoha's offer is too high, I won't agree to it. No, Konoha was defeated and has now withdrawn from the entire Kakayo mountain and returned to the fire country itself. Hearing this news, the daimyo almost dropped the grapes in his hand to the ground. He was a little doubtful about the authenticity of the information. Konoha failed. How is this possible? How can Sunagakure stop Konoha's lineage this time? After the minister in front of him explained the information about the battle in detail, the daimyo from the Kingdom of Wind seemed to have stopped thinking. When several ministers of the Bidao family saw this scene, they couldn't help but shook their heads. It was easy for people to look down upon their famous names. Putting down the grapes in his hand gently, the daimyo pondered for a moment. Well, Shiraishi jounin broke through the Konoha blockade with his own strength. Why don't we reward such a powerful person who has made great contributions to the country? Soon, the daimyo of the country of Wind showed a smile and quickly decided to give Shiraishi a new metal name. At the same time, he decided to invite Kazekage Rasa, Shiraishi, Ibizo and other senior Sunagakure officials to the daimyo government office of the country of Wind to celebrate. The reason why the daimyo corrected his posture is very simple. The combat power shown by Shiraishi can be called the contemporary Uchiha Madara. Such a powerful combat power exists in the Kingdom of Wind, and is the guarantee for the prosperity of the entire country. Although Shiraishi had a little offense before, in the eyes of the daimyo, he now has a casual demeanor. Madara, the result of the war between Konoha and Sunagakure, is out. Under the huge heretic demon statue, the old Uchiha Madara was closing his eyes to rest. However, Zetsu's appearance interrupted his rest. Seeing Madara's indifferent and unconcerned look, Zetsu, who had originally planned to check Madara's reaction, shook his head and said with a smile, "Konoha suffered a disastrous defeat. Black Mist Shiraishi defeated the Konoha army with one person. This finally succeeded in attracting Uchiha Madara's attention. He also knew the information about Konoha's expedition. The Third Kazekage, Jiraiya and a large number of blood successor families luxuriously were against Sunagakure. I thought Konoha would suppress Sunagakure's recent upward trend, but now it seems Konoha has stumbled instead. Is that Black Mist Whitestone proficient in some kind of blood successor? Although Kurogiri Shiraishi has become very famous in the ninja world over the years, he is not in Madara Uchiha's eyes at all, so he has not even paid attention to his intelligence. He only knows that there is such a person. Only this time, Uchiha Madara finally began to pay attention to Kurogiri Shiraishi. Being able to suppress so many strong men in Konoha by himself was something only he and Senju Hashirama could do when they were young. As for other so-called demigods and half-zodiacs, they never entered his eyes. Uchiha Madara, not a blood successor, he seems to be a civilian ninja, but he has developed many new techniques, including a green flame that can burn continuously. Zetsu's intelligence gathering ability is very powerful. Although he did not see the power of the blue flames unfold with his own eyes, he went deep into the surrounding area of Konoha's evacuation camp and sealed part of the blue flames with wood release and brought it to Uchiha Madara. Open it and look at this flame. As the Zetsu seal was opened, a burning blue flame suddenly appeared. Uchiha Madara stared at the small green flame in front of him for a long time, feeling the domineering power inside the small green flame. A very powerful flame. According to the historical records of the Uchiha clan, the clan members who activated the blood succession produced similar special flames. They need to be sealed with fire seals and other means before they can be targeted. Ju said with a smile, this is just his most powerful technique. In addition, there are all kinds of magical new techniques. Listening to Zetsu's description, Uchiha Madara shook his head. How many years will it take to develop so many techniques? He is only a little over 18 years old, so he must have received some kind of inheritance. But in the history of the ninja world, during the Warring States period, the number of blood successor secret arts families was far greater than now. They once opposed the Hagoromo clan along with the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan. Hasn't it been forgotten by the world for a long time? When Madara Uchiha was young, in addition to the Senju clan as his rival, the Hagoromo clan was also a formidable enemy. Several uncles in his clan died at the hands of the Hagoromo clan. Later, in a series of evolutions, the Hagoromo clan gradually disappeared in the long river of history. If Uchiha Madara hadn't lived long enough, who in the world would still remember the unique blood inheritance of the Hagoromo clan? Therefore, Uchiha Madara did not believe that Shiraishi was a genius who developed so many ninjutsu, but this incident aroused enough vigilance in him. While White Zetsu and Uchiha Madara were discussing Kurogiri Shiraishi, Black Zetsu, who was lurking in the dark, breathed a sigh of relief. Uchiha Madara finally noticed the boy Kurogiri Shiraishi. Compared to Beiju, who is ignorant, Black Ju has been wary of Shiraishi very early. As a monster who has lived from the time of the Sage of Six Paths to the present day, Black Zetsu has seen blood successor secret arts, even more than Uchiha Madara has encountered, but the series of techniques developed by Kurogiri Shiraishi over the years are unheard of. This forced him to think of some other possibilities. For example, he might be from the Otsutsuki clan like his mother, who came from a foreign land. If they are members of the Otsutsuki clan, reading www.ukanshu.net, Black Zetsu knows very well that they are by no means friends but enemies, because their goals are the same as their mother, which is chakra fruit. So Black Zetsu is far more vigilant than Shiraishi than Uchiha. Now that he realized that Shiraishi might be an unknown variable, Uchiha Madara coughed several times and looked at Shiraishi. You should also pay the necessary attention and collect information about Sunagakure. Uchiha Madara would not allow any changes that might occur, so he had to prepare in advance. Where's Obito? Continue to follow the plan. Uchiha Madara is about to leave this world. In order to rule this land in a complete state next time, he must train Obito, a boy, to become the executor of his plan. However, before that, the powerful dark side in Uchiha Madara Obito's heart must be developed. The stronger the love for an Uchiha tribesman, the more intense the negative emotions will be. Madara knows this well, and has prepared a perfect drama for Obito. Chapter 165, Wind Shadow. The green flames burned violently throughout the village. In order to clear these flames, Sunagakure also sent a large number of sealing squads to use the fire sealing seal to clear these green flames one by one. It took about several days. Shiraishi's merits are enough to hold the position of Kazekage. At the high-level meeting of Sunagakure, Rasa of the 4th Kazekage offered to let Shiraishi take the position of Kazekage. As soon as his words fell, the whole place fell into a strange silence. Even Shiraishi looked at Rasa in surprise. I originally thought that Ilyusha would continue to stay in the position of Kazekage for a few more years, but I didn't expect that after this war, Ilyusha would be so sensible and hand over the throne of Kazekage, which was also unexpected. In fact, Shiraishi's combat prowess can be regarded as the most powerful existence in the ninja world at present. With such strength, the Kazekage can better intimidate various villages. This was too much pressure for Ilyusha. Because such a person's prestige and ability were already much stronger than his own. In order to leave a good escape route for himself, Ilyusha fortunately chose to hand over his position as a Kazekage and end his Kazekage history in a decent way. After Ilyusha finished speaking, he found that the whole place was very quiet. He was a little embarrassed for a while, but soon Obito coughed. Kazekage-sama, are you really serious? Of course. He is more suitable to be the Kazekage than me, because Sunagakure needs the leadership of a truly strong person, in order to move towards a more prosperous period. Yamaji Ryoko has this realization, why don't I? In a sense, you are really not as good as Shanjilingzi. Most of Sunagakure's senior executives fell silent when they heard Rasa's proposal. Tsunabizo set his sights on Shiraishi. After the latter nodded slightly and agreed, the atmosphere in the conference room became lively. Yes, with Lord Shiraishi's strength and prestige, it is most suitable to become the 5th Kazekage. Let the show of hands begin now. 4. Shiraishi, becoming Kazekage is more convenient for doing things under the name of Sunagakure. In addition, Shiraishi also has a strong interest in the more than 30 cards in Kazekage's inventory. Among the 16 members of the elders, except for the absent Granny Chiyo, the remaining 15 including Ibizo and other senior family members raised their hands to pass the resolution. After the preliminary decision was reached for Shiraishi to inherit the Kazekage, relevant details began to be discussed, including sending invitation letters to the 5 major countries and various small countries, as well as a series of procedures such as reporting to the daimyo. According to the process, it will take at least more than a month, and the Kazekage suit will also need to be specially customized. How's the negotiation with Konoha going? Since Shiraishi was not the Kazekage yet, and Rata had no intention of continuing to host the meeting, Ibizo took over the topic and focused the main situation on the subsequent negotiations with Konoha. Sunagakure controls the 2 areas of Rain Country and Sora Country, which is actually very dangerous, because the power of the Uchiha clan and Hanzo is enough to pose a major threat to the few remaining garrisons in these 2 areas now relying on the momentum of Shiraishi's victory to temporarily deter the hostile forces. Sunagakure still hopes to stabilize the 2 ends as soon as possible. The country of Rain has basically reached an agreement. The negotiations between the 2 parties were very difficult, and Hanzo also sent people to participate in the issue of Ota district in the country of Rain. After a series of consultations, the issue of the country of Rain was resolved. Hanzo and Konoha acquiesced to Sunagakure's interests in the country of Rain, but Sunagakure must provide a certain supply of trade materials to the country of Rain every year, mainly to help those orphans who were homeless due to the war. Shiraishi can vaguely see the shadow of Akatsuki in terms of the terms here. Hanzo and Konoha do not have many requirements. they can maintain the status quo on the west side. After all, the area of Ota district is not large, it is just a small city. The problem of Kono-Kuni is complicated. As a vassal state of Konoha, Sunagakure needs to swallow it all. His appetite is too big. The southern 13th district is only 1/10 the size of Kono-Kuni. Now eating the entire Kono-Kuni is quite big. For a country 1/8 the size of Konoha, this would cause Sunagakure's strength to expand significantly. Konoha's attitude on this matter is to let Sunagakure control the central 26th district, plus the southern 13th district, making a total of 39 districts, 1/3 of the area of the Kokura country. Konoha still hopes to use the remaining territory as a buffer zone to resist the invasion of the Kingdom of Wind. Shiraishi was somewhat clear about where Konoha's bottom line was. Thinking of this, he picked up the copy and said, in addition to the 26 districts in the central area, 4 coastal districts are also needed. Shiraishi's sword was equivalent to splitting the Kingdom of Korra into 2 limbs and taking down the richest area. After several Sunagakure negotiators left, the elders in the conference room looked at Shiraishi with different eyes. Although he is not officially the Kazekage yet, the aura of Shiraishi sometimes makes these old guys feel a little stressed. Especially seeing the scorching flames that are still burning outside. This huge shock is unparalleled. The negotiations between the two parties regarding the Kono-Kuni took several weeks. And finally the final result was finalized. Konoha agreed to the conditions of Sunagakure and split the Kono-Kuni to a certain extent. However, Shiraishi will not care about the details of these negotiations. As a quasi-Kazekage, he is currently recuperating in the Oasis Ring area that has not been affected by the war. Reading www.ukashu.net. Sand hidden village of the old era was almost razed to the ground by the green flame due to this battle. In addition, due to the special damage caused by the flames, this land was no longer suitable for human survival and habitation in a short period of time. At present, the construction of the Oasis New District has been completed, and together with the Oasis Ring District, it is enough to form a new sand-hidden village. After a series of wars, the village's population has suffered a heavy loss, so the new sand-hidden village is enough for these people to live. The only pity is that the new Sunagakure village is not protected by a huge canyon, but is located in an oasis area at a high altitude point. As long as the village is strong enough, it will not be afraid of these geographical factors. On the contrary, Shiraishi feels that the new Sunagakure village should be built under such a vast and huge oasis, so that the living conditions of the villagers can be improved to a higher level. You're almost feng-eyeing, but why are you still so careless? You forgot to feed Zyanoju cat food. Jounin entered the house, looked at the orange cat who looked hopeless, smiled, picked up a piece of food, and put it in front of the orange cat. I just fed you this morning. The orange cat's appetite is much larger than that of ordinary cats. It eats almost 6 meals a day, and there is no possibility of it being moderate. Shiraishi wanted to control the orange cat's diet several times, but Jounin could never bear to starve the orange cat. At the end of Konoha 47, the entire ninja world was still shocked by the outcome of the war between Konoha and Sunagakure. Soon another news was also meaningful. The 2 great ninja village shadows who participated in the war were replaced almost at the same time. Namake's Minato succeeded Sarutobi Hiruzen as the 4th generation Hokage, and Kurogiri Shiraishi succeeded Rasa as the 5th generation Kazekage. The 2 major ninja villages sent invitations to various countries at the same time, inviting them to participate in their new Kage's induction ceremony. Chapter 166, Envoy from the Kingdom of Fire. At the end of Konoha 47, and in the middle of Sunagakure 47, various countries sent envoys one after another to the inauguration ceremony of the new Kage of the 2 major ninja villages. Sunagakure holds the ceremony in mid-December, while Konoha holds it at the end of the year. The hurried carriage echoed on the way to the new Sunagakure village. Judging from the pattern decoration of the carriage was worth a lot of money. It was obvious that only the upper-class nobles of the Land of Fire were qualified to ride the carriage. It is rumored that the people of the Kingdom of Wind are tough and have extremely high fighting qualities. It seems like this is true now. Mr. Akimiya, who is the envoy of the Kingdom of Fire this time, is sitting in a luxurious carriage with his disciples, watching the changes in the scenery outside. A large number of Sunagakure ninjas are flashing around, obviously protecting the safety of envoys from various countries on the journey. According to Shiraishi's rules, any envoy entering the Kingdom of Wind must not bring more than 2 ninjas from other villages with him. Such rules seemed very overbearing, but envoys from various countries held their noses and enjoyed it. Whoever made Sunagakure village rise now is almost qualified to compete with Konoha for the throne of the strongest village in the ninja world. Akimiya was not completely ignorant of the bureaucrats in the ninja world, so he carefully observed the demeanor and temperament of the Sunagakure ninjas. It must be said that the entire Sunagakure ninja now gave people a very proud feeling. This may be related to the war that just ended. The new generation of legends in the Black Mist and White Stone ninja world defeated the Konoha army with one person. The third generation of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 3 ninjas Jiraiya, Uchiha, and Hyuga, the top powerful men from big and wealthy families, have all become stepping stones on his road to fame. What a formidable young man. Rumor has it that he is even younger than Namikaze Minato, only 18 years old, but he can achieve such an achievement. This time Konoha was defeated miserably at the hands of Sunagakure in the Land of Wind, and the structure of the entire ninja world changed drastically. Although all parties did not admit it, Sunagakure gradually became the giant coexisting with Konoha among the 5 major ninja villages. The power of the country of wind is rising, so when it comes to selecting people to send envoys to the country of wind, the daimyo of the country of fire specially sends Mr. Akimiya, who has a public background, to show the importance he attaches to it. As an important minister of the daimyo, Akimiya picked up the folding fan and squinted his eyes in a bad mood. A middle-aged man opposite Ye Cang said with a hint of helplessness in his tone, "Konoha is still too comfortable," which led to this disastrous defeat. In every ninja war, Konoha is the most passive side. This time it was rare to take the initiative, but it was beaten to a bloody head by Sunagakure, and it was very humiliating to cede half of the territory of Kono Kuni. The daimyo of the fire country is very angry. Compared to the unpromising daimyo cousin of the wind country, the top brass of the fire country have very powerful ambitions and always hope that Konoha will defeat the 4 major ninja villages and unify the ninja world. Unfortunately, this battle frustrated the daimyo's wish, but for the sake of Konoha's stability, he still supported a large amount of funds and materials to help Konoha get back on its feet. According to Akimiya's view, the battle between Sunagakure and Konoha will basically establish the pattern of the ninja world in the next 10 years, because Black Mist Shiraishi will become more and more powerful, because it has not yet reached its peak state. Fortunately, Konoha still has the golden shining Namikaze Minato. If Sunagakure hadn't been worried about his existence, how could he have so little interest in dividing the interests of Koakuni? However, when the carriage arrived at the Oasis Ring area, Mr. Akimiya's eyes widened at the completely new scenery and various fruits along the road. These are white mandarin fruits and purple caltrop fruits. These are very precious fruit trees. The Kingdom of Wind only exists as a decoration along the road. These pleasant tasting tree fruits have been the favorite food of the high-ranking nobles of the far country for many years. Each one is worth a lot of money. However, after getting off the car, Ye Cang actually saw a large number of fruit trees planted along both sides of the road, allowing some children to pick. I heard that tree fruits are the first to be produced in the Kingdom of Wind, so it is not surprising that they are planted on a large scale. As a representative of the samurai family and a middle-aged man from Konoha, he had a lot of information about Sunagakure. When he told all this, Akimiya suddenly realized it. I see, the fruit comes from the Kingdom of Wind. Could it be that the fruits grown in this climate environment are very delicious? It seems like this. The Konoha envoy was very curious about everything in the new Sunagakure village. Along the way, Akimiya also discovered some strange phenomena. That is, there were many electronic devices sold in Sunagakure village. All kinds of new home appliances, communication facilities, and even air conditioners were all placed in the store, which amazed Ye Cang. This type of civilian infrastructure equipment is also being vigorously promoted by the Fire Nation's top management to benefit people's livelihood. But it is very rare for the price of these things to be as low as Sunagakure's. Imitation ability is really strong. Most of these things developed by Shiraishi are from various technological products under the rule of the Fire Nation. However, after successful imitation, Shiraishi launched products with lower prices and better quality than them. In the past 2 years, many companies in the country of fire have closed down as a result, and many problems have arisen in the management of people's livelihood in the country of fire. There are even a group of special groups that are mainly responsible for purchasing products and even some parts and equipment exported from the country of wind, and then selling them in the country of fire to make profits. However, in the past 6 months, many of Sunagakure's products are not imitations, but mostly self-developed products. Therefore, when looking at the issues between Sunagakure and the land of wind, Akimiya sees that it is not just Shiraishi's own strength that has brought about changes. Reading www.wakanshu.net also has other influences. As the envoy of the Fire Nation, Akimiya's first thing was to visit the Kazekage of Sunagakure village. Although Rata is still the Kazekage name, the office has been replaced by Shiraishi's office now. And Rata goes to the medical class to take care of his wife Girira. After all, she is about to give birth. The new Kazekage office is located in the middle area between the Oasis Ring District and the New Ring District. It is said to be an office, but it is actually a huge courtyard. The two lifelike orange cat statues at the entrance directly attract the attention of Mr. Akimiya. This is the pet statue kept by Lord Kazekage at home. Currently, this cat lies down and rests in the office every day. When the messenger enters the office later, he can see Lord Kazekage and his pet. Is it necessary to introduce so many words to a mere pet? Is this Sunagakure receptionist a cat slave? Ye Cang suppressed her complaints and went to Shiraishi's office with representatives of the Wu family and her students. The door opened gently, and in the spacious office, Shiraishi, wearing Feng Ying's exclusive robe, was flipping through a document. As the shadow of a village, Shiraishi still had to deal with a huge amount of work every day, so he took advantage of the opportunity to read a document. While meeting the envoy from the country of fire. The contents mainly involved task assignments from some small countries, which are to be handed over to Sunagakure for processing. The geographical location of these small countries is very close to the Kingdom of Fire and the Kingdom of Wind. At the same time, they are also outsiders. Seeing Sunagakure's strength, they began to please Sunagakure. Gently closing the information in his hand, Shiraishi stood up slowly and walked towards the Fire Nation envoy and his party. Chapter 167. The Chain Effect of Contemporary Uchiha Madara. Facing the Kazekage of Sand Hidden Village, who is the actual controller of the domestic armed forces of the Land of Wind, Akimiya stepped forward as a public representative. The hands on both sides gradually separated and slid down against his thighs at the same time. His fingertips touch the upper edge of his knees. At the same time, his upper body is tilted from the waist, and his head, back and legs are nearly arched. After a brief pause, he slowly straightens his upper body, lifts his hands along his feet, and returns to his original standing posture. Upon seeing this, Shiraishi responded with the same public etiquette. Although he himself did not like this kind of cumbersome etiquette, out of respect for the people of the Fire Nation, Shiraishi also responded in a certain way. The representative of the samurai family on the side, who was also an envoy of Konoha, met Shiraishi in the traditional ninja greeting method, and then followed Shiraishi with Mr. Akimiya to the conference room in front of the office to sit down. The Kazekage office is divided into two areas. One is the meeting area, and the other is the area where Shiraishi handles official business. Compared with the Hokage's relatively small office in Konoha, the space here in Shiraishi can be called luxurious. This is also related to the culture of the two villages. Since the first Hokage founded the village in Konoha, the office space has not been adjusted much, while Sunagakure has experienced a baptism of war. Now the new Sunagakure village naturally has to show the attitude of a big village. The giant office was also built for Shiraishi by the Sunagakure elders. At the same time, the murals around the entire office were engraved with statues of the 5 Kazekages. This time the envoy arrived from the country of fire. Was it a smooth journey? In response to Shiraishi's greetings, Mr. Akimiya nodded. Thank you Kazekage-sama for your concern. The Suna ninjas took great care of us along the way, so we didn't encounter any difficulties. Rather, than taking great care of them. The sand ninjas were always monitoring the team of envoys from the Kingdom of Fire, fearing that they might have other actions in the Kingdom of Wind. Therefore, the Land of Fire industry is where Shiraishi sends people to look after him as the situation in the country of Wind stabilized. In order to make the external environment safer, Shiraishi continued to choose to maintain the past alliance with Konoha, which included a large number of Konoha subsidy programs. This was also when Konoha chose to form an alliance with Sunagakure, in the hope that Sunagakure could withstand the pressure from both Iwagakure and Shirogakure. It launched a package support plan, which included a lot of material and facility assistance. Although related projects were suspended during the war 2 years later, Shiraishi found the Fire Nation envoy this time, hoping to maintain the past friendship between the two sides and continue to promote this assistance project. Mr. Akimiya was embarrassed when he saw Shiraishi mentioning this matter as soon as he came up. He almost didn't expect that this Kazekage seemed to be polite, but in fact he was a greedy wolf who wanted to continue what he had done 2 years ago. Alliance plan. Are the Fire Nation and Konoha really a charity? But facing this contemporary Uchiha Madara, Akimiya pinched her nose and smiled bitterly. The situation in the country of fire is currently unstable. Konoha has suffered heavy losses, and Shirogakure and Shirogakure are still ready to make a move. There is nothing we can do for the time being. I will support you. I see. The fire country is in a place of 4 wars. I can understand this situation. So how about using the mission as a deduction? Shiraishi picked up a cup of brewed tea and said with a smile, task deduction. Seeing Shiraishi's gaze, Ye Cang and the Wu family representatives looked at each other and expressed their helplessness to each other. Konoha enjoys a large number of tasks entrusted by most surrounding countries and domestic institutions and enterprises every year. Now that the situation is unstable, these tasks have been temporarily sealed, right? Looking at Shiraishi's eyes, Mr. Akimiya said bravely, yes, how about using these tasks as offsets for Konoha's aid projects? I still need to return to China to report this matter. The ninja mission involves so many interests that it cannot be decided by just a civil servant. This requires a daimyo and the Hokage to communicate with each other and agree together to make it possible. Putting down the teacup in his hand, Shiraishi still had that very sincere smile, but it looked very dazzling to Ye Cang and others. It doesn't matter, this is just an initiative. Watching Akimiya's group go away, as Shiraishi's secretarial assistant, Suna Ninja is mainly responsible for a young female jounin Maki. This Maki used to be a ninja of the ceiling class with Jounin. He was also a pharmacist who was proficient in medical ninjutsu. He was good at using poison, and was also a civilian ninja who graduated from Shiraishi's public ninja school. Lord Kazekage, will the Fire Nation agree to this? Just after the armistice agreement between Konoha and Sunagakure ended, Shiraishi continued to speak loudly and asked about Konoha's task assignment. Maki was also worried that he would completely anger Konoha. Don't worry, it depends on how Konoha responds. The situation is now in his favor. Regarding task sharing and various other aid projects that Konoha promised to support, he can ask these guys for benefits little by little. All the envoys from other major countries here, well, the daimyo of the Kingdom of Earth, the Kingdom of Thunder, and the Kingdom of Water all send ministers of the same level as Akimiya. The daimyo of our country also came in person this time to crown you Kazekage. Lord Kazekage, Maki said this with a hint of excitement in his tone. He was a daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind. In the history of the Kingdom of Wind, only the first Kazekage was crowned by a daimyo. Now Shiraishi enjoys the same treatment as the first Kazekage, which is enough. It shows that everyone in the Kingdom of Wind attaches great importance to Shiraishi. Many people now call Kazekage-sama the contemporary Uchiha Madara. You're reading www.ukanshu.net. The title of contemporary Uchiha Madara is not very destructive to various ninja villages. The Warring States period ended because Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama made peace with each other and jointly founded Konoha Point. During the time when Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama cooperated, they shocked the entire ninja world until the battle at the Valley of the End. Uchiha Madara disappeared and Senju Hashirama died after being seriously injured after the war. Konoha lost to giants After losing his own authority, there were many subsequent ninja wars. The name Uchiha Madara itself represents many meanings, one of which is that the ninja world also acquiesces to Shiraishi's current strength. The magic and appeal of this word have long exceeded Shiraishi's expectations, bringing about earth-shaking changes to the entire kingdom of Wind. Even the high-ranking daimyo had to lower his head and go to Sunagakure village in person to prepare for the crowning of Shiraishi. As for other major countries, they all have a tentative and wait and see mentality. The emergence of a new Uchiha Madara in the ninja world will have a very important impact on the future structure of the ninja world. Of course, the driving force behind the name Shiraishi's contemporary Uchiha Madara is mainly the top management of Konoha. Holding Shiraishi at this height will shift the focus of the major powers and reduce the pressure Konoha is currently facing. The melee between Kumogakure, Konoha, and Iwagakure has not ended yet. Shirogakure and Konoha have started another conflict in the west. Rumor has it that the Three Tails and the Jinchuriki have appeared, causing heavy losses and damage to Konoha. Currently, Minato Namikaze has no intention of the Hokage succession ceremony in the village, and instead chooses to suppress it on the front lines. Before he came to power, during the period when Sarutobi Hiruzen was still in power, Shiraishi hoped to implement this matter as soon as possible. Chapter 168. 3 Golden Cards. There were many envoys from Kazekage from various countries who came to congratulate Shiraishi on his ascension to the throne. Whether they were big or small countries, they all sent their commissioners. Even the country of Koa, which was already in a state of division, sent a small civil servant to observe. This man Shiraishi still had some impression that when he first communicated with Hinata, it was this person who mocked Hinata. It's a pity that now he and Hinata Hisashi have a grudge for killing their father, and the two can no longer drink tea and chat like they used to. My congratulations to Shiraishi-sama for becoming the 5th Kazekage. Compared with the previous etiquette of the Kyoryu Palace, this little civil servant used etiquette more solemnly. He directly prostrated on the ground and did not get up to congratulate Beishi. Get up, this isn't the first time we've met. The young civil servant stood up slowly. His eyes were no longer what they were before, and his face was much haggard. He is similar in age to Shiraishi, but at first glance he looks like he is in his 40s. Compared with the harmonious atmosphere during the previous meeting with Akimiya, it was now much more awkward. After a long silence, Shiraishi said, "Isn't it hard to maintain this country?" Hearing Shiraishi's words, the young official knelt down again, lowered his head and said softly, "It's not hard. If it can bring a glimmer of hope for the people, then I'm willing. I can't change my destiny as a citizen of the kingdom of Sichuan. There is an effort to strive for a better future." "I agree with that." Shiraishi motioned for him to sit down. "I will also try my best to find a way to unify the kingdom of Sichuan again. Of course, the premise is that it is under the leadership of the kingdom of Wind." Hearing Shiraishi's remarks, the junior civil servant gave a wry smile. Sunagakure's ambition for the Korakuni was still so fierce. Konoha also regarded the Korakoku as the southeastern barrier. How could it be easily ceded? The future destiny of the kingdom of Sichuan may be even more bumpy. When they first heard that the kingdom of Sichuan was about to be plundered a large territory by the kingdom of Wind, many colleagues chose to commit suicide in protest, but the junior civil servant did not do that. On the contrary, he was stronger than anyone else, and even went to the kingdom of Wind to congratulate Shiraishi in person. Taking office is just to exchange for that glimmer of opportunity. His teachers and seniors were all killed in Konoha's last purge of Koinokuni. After more than 2 years of hard work, he is now the chief civil servant of Koinokuni, and his life is still like walking on thin ice. "You go down and have a good rest first." Seeing the gesture of the little civil servant, Shiraishi sighed and asked him to leave the hall. This is the outcome of a weak country, letting the big country control its destiny. If Sunagakure had lost to Konoha, the situation now would not be much better. After the day's meeting, Maki sealed some of the information neatly. Shiraishi's workload has been increasing during this period, so there is a lot to do. "Master Kazekage, do you still plan to practice?" Seeing Shiraishi taking off his Kazekage robe and putting on a special blue and white training uniform, Maki asked helplessly. Shiraishi usually has so many official duties to deal with, and he also needs to carry out regular practice and exercise at night. Even Maki, the deputy, can't stand such a hard life. This strength is not enough. We must be stronger. If you don't advance, you will retreat. Only by constantly practicing and improving yourself, and mastering more unknown methods and trump cards can you make yourself invincible. But today Shiraishi is not doing it for practice, but for the relationship between several important skill cards in the Ye Cang series. After becoming the Kazekage, Shiraishi gained control over many authorities, one of the core of which was the skill card sealed by Sunagakure village. After collecting them over the past 10 years, Sunagakure village had mastered 60 cards. This is the foundation of the 5 major villages. It can be imagined that in addition to Sunagakure, Konoha, Shirogakure and other ninja villages also have a very large number of skill cards in their collections. All skill cards are sealed in the forbidden secret area in Sunagakure's Oasis Ring area, which contains a large number of secret techniques and forbidden techniques. Currently, only the Kazekage and the elders are qualified to enter this room. After the previous invasion of Konoha, although most of Sunagakure's important facilities were affected, the place was still well preserved. Among them, the skill cards are currently placed in a very unpopular corner. It is obvious that Sunagakure does not pay special attention to the cards. After the special seal on the wooden box was opened, Shiraishi prepared 60 corresponding imitation cards. Cards constructed from the condensation of their own sand silver metal are not as indestructible, but at least they are extremely sharp. The 60 cards were quickly arranged one by one, among which there were 3 golden cards. According to their attributes, they were electrical attribute, fighting attribute and ground attribute cards. In addition to these 3 golden cards, there are 3 skill cards among the 60 cards that are subsequently developed for Shiraishi's round pupil skills, mainly Fairy Wind, Nature's Wrath, and Mistfield's 3 moves. Therefore, for Shiraishi, these 6 cards will be unlocked first, and the remaining 56 cards will be unlocked later. To see if there are any techniques he needs to use. Shiraishi listed these 3 fairy cards as one of the subsequent development skills of the round pupil system. The green quality Fairy Wind was unlocked first. Fairy Wind is the same as the ordinary wind escape technique, and the principle is similar to the whirlwind knife. At the moment, when the unlocking is completed, reading www.ukanshunet Base's proficiency will naturally increase to 100%, and then the next purple level skill, Wrath of Nature, will be unlocked. Absorbing the fury of nature and counterattacking it on the opponent can cause a huge loss of physical strength. This is a unique technique for manipulating natural energy. The so-called Wrath of Nature should be the rampant natural energy, which is forcibly injected into the opponent's body, somewhat similar to Orochimaru's curse seal. It requires sufficient chakra control to collect these natural energies. The third demonic skill is Moonlight. The effect of this move is of the auxiliary type, and can heal one's own injuries under the Moonlight. After the 3 fairy cards were unlocked, Shiraishi set his sights on collecting 3 golden cards this time. Shiraishi was the first to unlock the golden card of the electric system, that is, the Thunder Escape style, because just touching this card just now, you can feel a strong sense of electricity. Controlling the glasses system. The reading speed of unlocking skills is very fast. It only took 10 minutes to crack this Thunder Escape golden card. This means that Shiraishi's chakra amount and his own strength have now reached a very high level. At the moment, when the card was unlocked, the power of the blue flame in Shiraishi's body seemed to be induced, causing a violent reaction. Why is King Iron in such an intense state? One is Fire Escape, and the other is Thunder Escape. Techniques with different attributes. Why do they have such echoing effects? In addition, according to the explanation in the glasses system, this kind of lightning escape also comes with illusion ability. The huge power of thunder and lightning can create ideal illusions. This effect seems to have a corresponding effect with the green flames that build the real world. Chapter 169, Lightning Strike and Green Flame. Thunder Release. Lightning Strike is rumored to be able to construct an ideal and powerful illusion current, covering the whole body and attacking the opponent. It will put the opponent into a state of paralysis, and then use the current to enter the brain nerves and destroy their perception point. This move is similar to the thunder release ninja taijutsu of Cloud Hidden Village, but in terms of power and effect, it is more powerful than ordinary thunder release ninja taijutsu. In addition, the special illusion created by the electric current allows a caster to perform the spell more effectively. Fighting point. The water release bubble series of illusions previously mastered by Shiraishi are different. The bubble series of illusions themselves have limited lethality, but the lightning flow not only has super lethality, but the release of the illusion will increase the deterrence several times at the same time. The electric light from the lightning strike can protect the nerves of one's own brain to a certain extent, and provide a certain degree of resistance to illusions as the secret room, where the secret arts and forbidden arts are stored in. Sunagakure village. The internal space is very huge. Perhaps some readers in history could not help but try to perform spells after reading it, so Sunagakure deliberately left a blank space in the house. Point today, Shiraishi's strength and knowledge of magnetic escape current allow him to quickly master the most basic use of lightning strikes. The moment it exploded, golden light quickly covered his body. Under the stimulation of this energy, Shiraishi found that the activity of his body cells had increased to another level. Momo used high-speed movement, and Shiraishi instantly appeared on the other side. Driven by the powerful current, Shiraishi's speed became faster and faster. The collection of follow-up skills for high-speed movement also needs to be accelerated. The follow-up derivative skills of divine speed and instant movement. Just from the name, you know that the effect is very powerful. In the process of harnessing the energy of lightning strikes, the green flames in Shiraishi's own body reacted again, as if they would erupt at any time, giving people a powerful feeling. Shiraishi's current state is very subtle. The power of lightning strikes and the power of green flames are intertwined. Shiraishi controls the current with his left hand and the green flames with his right hand. It seems that he is in a unique state of balance. Black and white construct a yin-yang Teikai diagram. Lightning strikes and green flames, two seemingly unrelated powers, can amplify and strengthen each other. Is the opposition between ideal and reality. Golden skill cards have never disappointed Shiraishi, so Shiraishi quickly took out the second golden skill card. The pattern of the entire card shows the fighting attribute. When Shiraishi held the card for a while, it was quickly unlocked and the golden great fighting type Holy Sword came into view. Holy Sword, a unique attack mode, can directly inflict damage regardless of changes in the opponent's abilities during the attack. The ability of fighting type moves is more towards the taijutsu style. The chakra mobilization method and precautions in the Holy Sword show that this is an extremely advanced taijutsu style. According to the drill on the skill card, Shiraishi turned one finger, and a powerful invisible airflow condensed on the fingertips, like a sharp sword light, which could quickly cut down the obstacles in front of him. Feeling the power of the sword on his fingertips, Shiraishi's round pupils flashed, and the brilliance generated by his mind power illuminated the secret room, and his whole body burned with green flames in an instant. The sword light and green flames combined to construct a green fire sword. Under the blessing of the constantly floating telepathy, Shiraishi turned around quickly and thrust out the fastest sword by relying on the speed of coordinate switching in the dimensional cave. The combination of the green flame and the holy sword produced so much power that it almost blew up the entire secret room. Thinking of the white stone quickly withdrawing the power of its own green flame. Shiraishi's control over violent energy such as Kingai and lightning strike is now far better than in the past, but he still uses it cautiously, fearing that the energy will go wild and destroy the entire secret room. As the last of the three golden skill cards, ground-based skills have always been what Shiraishi has been looking forward to. Because his magnetic escape is highly compatible with most ground-based and rock-based skills, it can make one's sand control skills more mature, and just as Shiraishi predicted, this ground golden skill card is called Thousand Waves. The caster can create waves from the ground to attack. Opponents thrown into the wave will not be able to escape from the battle. Judging from the effect of Thousand Waves, it is very similar to the effect of the Earth River, but Thousand Waves does not need to turn the ground into a swamp, but uses the powerful vibration principle to make the ground more turbid and directly restrain the opponent. According to the mainstream judgment standards in the ninja world, if Earth float is a B level, Ninjutsu, then 1000 waves is an S-level earthen jutsu point in the far country embassy. Akimiya walked back and forth anxiously. The conditions offered by the Kazekage were too scary now, and they actually required Konoha to have some task allocation rights. Once this hole was opened, the consequences would be disastrous for a long time. Konoha has relied on a large mission base to obtain a large amount of resources from various countries in the ninja world, because a mission is not only a reward, but also combines the interests of Konoha and even the Land of Fire with all parties. Therefore, the task allocation system is almost the core interest of Konoha. Once some tasks are diverted, it will inevitably affect the strategic interests of the place where the tasks are released. Therefore, Akimiya knew very well that it would be difficult for Konoha to agree to this condition, and even the daimyo would not agree. Why bother? These things are a headache for the daimyo and the Hokage. Reading www.ukanu.net. You can just report them truthfully. Seeing the appearance of Ye Cang, the Wu family representatives who were traveling with him were a little disapproving. Although the task system was important, some small countries that shared the tasks could indeed be abandoned. It was better to let the country of wind handle it. For example, those remote countries, the country of ghosts, the country of snow and the like. The third Hokage is not senile to begin with. It is up to them to decide how to deal with it. Now that the rise of black mist and white stone is unstoppable, why do you need to trouble yourself? Faced with persuasion, Akimiya shook his head, because the daimyo and the Hokage have never seen everything happening here every day. They may not have paid attention to other aspects of the Kingdom of Wind from the bottom of their hearts. From the daily life such as people's livelihood, we can see the thriving atmosphere of Sunagakure village now. Once they are given a broader stage, the strategic space of Konoha and the Land of Fire will be more squeezed in the future. A huge sense of urgency filled Ye Cang's heart, but the Wu family representative felt that the old man's anxiety was a bit of a fuss. In his opinion, this is nothing more than the Sunagakure lion opening his mouth again, and he can just deal with it appropriately. On the eastern battlefield of Konoha, Lin was tampered with by Uchiha Madara, and a spell was cast on her heart, becoming the three-tailed Jinchuriki. Then some Shirogakure ninjas, under the control of Madara, staged an interesting drama of darkness and depravity. The purpose of all Madara did was to completely plunge Obito into darkness, and Lin could not control the three tails, and did not die at the hands of the Kiri ninja according to Madara's wishes, but chose to die under Kakashi Reikiri. At the same time as this round of bloody drama was taking place, on the day of the ceremony for the new Kazekage of Sunagakure village, envoys from all over the world gathered together, and it was very lively. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170, Aoki Beishi. A huge round stone stage was erected in the center of the new Sunagakure village, and in the center, a giant pyramid stood out. The Kazekage office, the cobblestone stage and this pyramid form the three central coordinates of the new Sunagakure village. Compared to the sand-filled sand-hidden village in the past, a large number of pyramids were laid out around the village now, forming a special barrier that blocked the intrusion of a large amount of wind and sand. The layout of the new Sunagakure village is all arranged according to the original plan. Mild weather, small bridges and flowing water can be seen everywhere, and various tree and fruit plantings. Judging from this area alone, Sunagakure village does not seem to be worse than Konoha village. Maintaining an area like a special area requires precise enchantment techniques and landform improvement. In this regard, Shiraishi uses his own puppets to assist, and arranges a large number of magic formations to guide each pyramid enchantment. It can be said that all aspects of the new Sunagakure village are under the supervision of Sunagakure, and both the perception class and the barrier class are working in the 100-meter high central pyramid. After a war, the new Sunagakure village with such a layout was quickly established. The ambition and aspirations of Kurogiri Shiraishi can be glimpsed just from this huge pyramid. Not only the envoys from the Kingdom of Fire, but also the envoys from the Kingdom of Earth, The Kingdom of Water and the Kingdom of Thunder felt the hidden and powerful sense of oppression point as today's protagonist. Shiraishi was not in a hurry to show up. Instead, he was in the Kazekage office reviewing the information about Shirogakure and Konoha. The person who participated in the report was Shirogakure, the current commander-in-chief of the Sunagakure Intelligence Department. The three-tailed Jinchuriki Hiranolin was killed by jounin Kakashi, and the three-tailed body disappeared without a trace. Shiraishi didn't pay much attention to the follow-up battlefield information between Konoha and Shirogakure before. But as more and more details were revealed, Shiraishi always felt that something was wrong. The three-tailed Jinchuriki is Konoha's ninja Hiranolin. Why did Shirogakure choose a man from Konoha as a Jinchuriki? These things were all information that went against common sense. When feedback came back, Shirogakure suffered heavy losses and was attacked by a mysterious force, causing heavy casualties. According to the report from our informant on Shirogakure's side, Shirogakure had no intention of sealing his tailed beasts in the Konoha ninja plan at first. Any tailed beast is a valuable resource for the ninja village. It is too risky to take the risk of sealing the tailed beast in the Konoha ninja. Continue to investigate this matter as the current head of the Sunagakure Intelligence Agency, Shirogakure performs his work very meticulously. In addition, the Watermelon Mountain Fugu Ghost has expressed his position. He is still very satisfied with our price. Zigwashin. Blowfish Ghost has a very greedy personality. Although the policy guidance of Shirogakure village has allowed a group of Shirogakure ninjas to exert their energy, more high-level officials like Zigwashin and Blowfish Ghost hope to have other escape routes. Today's Shirogakure is poorer and more chaotic than Sunagakure. The Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon is very afraid that he, like many of Shirogakure's companions, will suddenly die on the street that day. Fearing death, he decides to seek cooperation with Sunagakure. The details of the three-tailed Jinchuriki incident were revealed to Sunagakure by the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon. Let him continue to stay in Shirogakure. We cannot give up the position of head of Shirogakure's intelligence department easily. As the head of the Shirogakure Intelligence Department, the position of the Watermelon Mountain Blowfish Ghost is very important. Shiraishi must stabilize him and allow him to continue to stay in this position and exert greater value. From the current point of view, Shirogakure has become even weaker and crazier after experiencing the Third Ninja War. In addition to the Watermelon Mountain Blowfish Ghost, Shiraishi has also bribed many rationalists among Shirogakure's senior officials to strengthen his understanding of them. It is very difficult to understand Iwagakure and Kumogakure. On the Konoha side, Shiraishi mainly relies on Orochimaru's relationship for intelligence collection. Now Orochimaru's base has been moved to other countries, but it still regularly exchanges and discusses certain information and various technologies with Shiraishi. Many sources of intelligence on Orochimaru's line relied on Danzo, but Shiraishi was still very wary of Danzo. Information related to Konoha must be verified through other channels. After finishing the intelligence work, Shiraishi breathed a sigh of relief and gently rubbed the fat orange cat that was eating cat food. Although the latter resisted internally, he barked coquettishly twice. I wonder if this orange cat has been castrated. Castration. The orange cat looked horrified for a moment, and Shiraishi quickly held it down and turned it over for inspection. I don't know if Shiraishi really understands or pretends to understand, but he is trembling all over as he looks at the orange cat. It seems like it hasn't been castrated yet. I'll just cut it off next time. After hearing Shiraishi's words, the orange cat's entire body became paralyzed, and he fainted on the ground. When Juan entered the house and saw this scene, he smiled helplessly. My husband is good at everything, but he likes to bully Zioju and makes scary sounding jokes with him every time. Seeing such a humane reaction from his cat, Shiraishi burst out laughing. After checking the time, Shiraishi immediately changed into the Kazekage costume, put on a hat with a wind printed on it, and quickly stepped out of the Kazekage office. At the same time, everyone on the huge round stone stage was waiting for Shiraishi's arrival. However, at this time, they heard a loud explosion in the sky, which attracted everyone's attention. Under the attention of thousands of people, a figure stepped in midair, wearing a blue Kazekage decoration and a Kazekage hat. The words 5th generation Kazekage were engraved on the cloak behind. The light transformed by the green flame surrounds it solemnly, the return of the ancient orthodox inheritance that has lasted for thousands of years, and the surrounding air currents are constantly changing. At this time, the sky suddenly appeared covered with huge dark clouds, as if a heavy rain was coming. When everyone was preparing to look for reindeer, they saw the white rocks moving high in the sky again. The scabbard turned in a gorgeous arc, and Shiraishi holding the silver knife showed absolute elegance. When his sleeves were turned over, the silver knife was drawn out in an extremely stunning manner, and the airflow turned into countless blades surrounding Shiraishi. Taijutsu style sword dance, the subsequent evolution of the IAI/series of skills. The sword dance style, Yukanshu www.ukanhu.net was found by Shiraishi among the remaining 54 cards in the sand secret room. Shiraishi showed this gorgeous taijutsu style for the first time, making all countries. The messenger looked at Shiraishi intently. Many civil servants were addicted to Shiraishi's elegant sword drawing dance, and they already had literary talents in their hearts compared with ordinary Kazekage. Shiraishi's Kazekage reached a new level of prowess. The moment the endless airflow sword dance was launched, the dark clouds in the sky suddenly disintegrated and shattered, turning into a silvery light that filled the sky and flickered over the entire sand-hidden village. The 5th generation Kazekage, so grand, not to mention the envoys from various countries. Even Alyosha, who was preparing on the roundstone stage, was stunned. He did not expect that Shiraishi would choose to appear in front of everyone in this way. Kazekage-sama, the moment Shiraishi stepped on the ground, cheers suddenly resounded throughout the entire Sunagakure village. Facing everyone present, the natural energy poured out from the foot of the white stone, and the trees and fruits on the ground around him seemed to be receiving the feeling. The sky is so high that there are no sun, moon, and stars, so it cannot be a myth. The earth is so vast that there are no living things in all its forms, so it cannot be a human being. I will start with the surname Aoki and create a true world of hundreds of generations for Sunagakure. The surname Aoki is the result of Shiraishi's careful consideration. It is famous in the ninja world because of the power of the blue flame. It represents the glasses system and skill system, and wood represents the inheritance and sustenance of Ashura's lineage. When the two are combined, they become green wood, so the white stone is called green wood and white stone. In 100 generations, due to the relationship between the natural energy around them, the spirituality of all things seemed to be summoned. In the process of countless cacti breaking out of the ground, brilliant and dazzling flowers bloomed, like all things coming to visit. Chapter 171, Blood Boiling. On the cobblestone stage in Sand-Hidden Village in the Land of Wind, Shiraishi's stunning appearance gave envoys from all over the world a sense of edge. This kind of aura and attack style made everyone fascinated by the posture of the 5th generation Kazekage in front of them. During the shocking process, Ibizo and Chiyo embarked on the journey hand in hand. Two elders, a former Kazekage and Shiraishi, formed the main members of this Kazekage ceremony. The 4th generation Kazekage Rasa looked at Shiraishi in front of him with complicated eyes. The operation he just performed was almost beyond his comprehension. The young man in front of him was no longer the skinny kid he was before, but now he has become a giant in the Sunagakure clear sky. Alyosha and Beishi looked at each other quietly like this. Beishi's eyes were clear and transparent without any impurities. Just stay quietly in the center of the cobblestone stage. The 5th Kazekage, Sunagakure will be left to you from now on. To this day, Rasa only has blessings left, and hands Shiraishi the official hat symbolizing the Kazekage. Shiraishi, who is wearing the cloak of the 5th generation Kazekage, looks very serious as he takes the hat from Rasa. The handover between the two generations of Kazekage, the old and the new, passed smoothly, which made everyone involved in Sunagakure breathe a sigh of relief. Rasa had too deep a conflict with Shiraishi at the beginning, and now he is retiring in such a dignified way, which can be regarded as a wise way for him to protect himself. In contrast to Rasa's complicated emotions, Yoshamaru in the crowd looked at Shiraishi's growth with a look of relief. Over the years, He did not dare to get too close to Shiraishi because of the relationship between his sister and brother-in-law. But for him, who had taken care of Shiraishi since he was young, he was very proud of Shiraishi becoming Kazekage. Sensing Yashamaru's brother's gaze, Shiraishi turned around and nodded to him, then walked towards Ibizo and Shio. On the road to becoming the Kazekage. The two old men gave me too much help. From the unreserved guidance from the beginning to the time when they tainted themselves in order to preserve their reputation during the battle at Mount Kikyo. The most I owed was Ibizo. Holding Shiraishi's hand, Ibizo looked at his disciple's reaction and laughed openly. You are the Kazekage now. You cannot show such emotions casually. You must be strong because you are a cage. Chio on the side also smiled very happily. Chio has always loved Shiraishi as his grandson, so he became the Kazekage, which Chio was very happy about. In front of Chio, Shiraishi also made his own promise. I will definitely handle the matter regarding Scorpion. Although the Red Sand Scorpion is classified as an S-class rebel ninja, Sunagakure also focuses on capturing it alive. At the same time, when information about the Scorpion emerges, it is directly handed over to the Kazekage for processing. This series of measures is nothing more than leaving a way for the Scorpion. Way back. No matter what, Shiraishi assured Chio's mother-in-law that the Scorpion was captured alive, and this promise also gave Chio a lot of peace of mind. After all, when Shiraishi turned back on the rescue road, the Red Sand Scorpion intercepted and exposed the puppet of the Third Kazekage, which was enough to discredit the Chio family. Fortunately, Shiraishi and Konoha happened to catch up with the fierce battle to save the situation. Because of this, the matter of the Red Sand Scorpion was classified as confidential information and was suppressed by Shiraishi. Chio naturally kept this favor in his heart, and at the same time he was determined to bring his grandson back to the village. While Shiraishi was communicating with several elders, envoys from various countries were also talking to each other. The focus of discussion was Shiraishi's surname. Ye Cang said it was a bit difficult to understand. Aoki Shiraishi, what is the meaning of this name? The current naming method in the ninja world, especially for people like Shiraishi, who will definitely form a family of blood successes and secret arts in the future. Their surnames must have a strong background and elegance. For example, Uchiha and Uchiha have similar pronunciations, but everyone in Aoki only guessed that it might be related to the blue flame, but they were puzzled by Aoki. Although mutant was also an idea, it was quickly rejected by them. Because Aoki Beishi has never shown his talent in wood escape, or is it derived from wood escape, representing strong vitality. There are all kinds of speculations, but compared to these civil servants, some ninjas are messengers, and their attention is on the performance of Shiraishi's series of new techniques. With their sharp eyes, they naturally discovered that Shiraishi's sword dance movements just now included a special style of physical skills. Over the years, Kurogiri Shiraishi has become a famous figure in the ninja world. Although his taijutsu has been rarely mentioned, the senior officials of each village are very clear that Kurogiri Shiraishi's attainments in taijutsu are by no means low, and he is also involved in illusions. Aoki Shiraishi is positioned as a top-level R/U 2016 ninja who is better than Orochimaru in all aspects, but this set of dancing silver sword techniques indicates that Shiraishi's physical skills may exceed their expectations. After completing all the rituals, Shiraishi walked towards the crowd, and huge cheers erupted. A large number of villagers in Sunagakure village cheered from the bottom of their hearts for the powerful Kazekage-sama in front of them. Looking at the huge crowd in front of him, and the gazes of envoys from various countries, Shiraishi took a deep breath, and picked up the microphone. Everyone, a new era of Sunagakure has arrived. At this Kazekage ceremony, there was still a messenger disguised as Beizetsu lurking in the crowd, and he used a special induction transformation technique to allow Madara Uchiha from afar to witness the Kazekage's inauguration ceremony. Just now, Shiraishi's high-level appearance and courage, as well as his attitude of showing contempt for the ninja world, made the already sluggish Uchiha Madara also rise to a heroic attitude. It was a very strange feeling, especially when I saw that during the process of Shiraishi's remarks, some kind of blood in Uchiha Madara's body seemed to boil. holding the chair tightly with both hands. Madara tried hard to stand up point amidst the creaking of the chair. Uchiha Madara chuckled slightly, and soon the chuckle turned into a laugh, which gave people a terrifying and ferocious look point after the death of Senju Hashirama. I haven't looked forward to an opponent like this for a long time. Uchiha Madara from him. You reading www.ukanshu.net seems to see the shadow of himself and Hashirama in the past. This kind of historical reincarnation and sense of fate made him suddenly show a fierce aura that was different from his current age. Aoki. Shiraishi is indeed qualified to be called the contemporary Uchiha Madara. Let me see the Ide era of Sunagakure that you are talking about. His strength is still growing, and he might actually be able to threaten himself in the future. Originally, Uchiha Madara wanted to continue planning against Sunagakure, but Shiraishi's words suddenly made him feel proud. Such an opponent should not be dealt with by small means. On the contrary, Uchiha Madara is looking forward to completely defeating him in his prime mode after his resurrection in the future. Isn't it a happy thing to have an opponent worth looking forward to? Thinking of this, Uchiha Madara smiled even happier and his face became more and more ferocious. PS. Today's update is a bit difficult because I just got home very late and coded it out in a hurry. If there are any problems, please point them out and correct them in this chapter. But I'm too tired now, so I'm going to bed first and will read again tomorrow morning. Chapter 172, Planning. Lord Kazekage, Shirogakure has launched a full-scale war against Konoha. The aftermath of the Third Ninja World War was still lingering, and within a few hours of Shiraishi taking office as the 5th Kazekage, Shiraishi sent the latest war information. The Kumo ninjas of the Kingdom of Thunder located in the northern part of the mainland, after solving Iwagakure's major concern and forcing Inoki to negotiate for peace, Shirogakure mobilized tens of thousands of ninjas and began to go south to launch a comprehensive invasion of Konoha. At present, the wars in the other 3 major ninja villages in the ninja world have basically ended, and the worst among them is Shirogakure. They lost all 3 battles and lost their Jinkriki tailed beasts. They have withdrawn from the mainland pattern in a very gloomy way. Shirogakure's problems are still related to their chaotic management methods, followed by Iwagakure. After the tie with Sunagakure in the Apocalypse Mountains, Iwagakure suffered heavy losses in the direction of Kanakunkyo and Shirogakure. However, due to the beating and death of the 3rd generation Raikage, Iwagakure can be regarded as one of the few with a good record in this ninja war. Although Shirogakure lost 1 Raikage, they won a great victory in the war with Iwagakure, and the huge benefits they gained allowed them to turn around and invade Konoha directly. Although Konoha successfully defeated Shirogakure and Iwagakure in this ninja world war, after losing the invasion of Wind Country, they prepared to fully shrink their defense lines and fight fiercely with Shirogakure, who was gearing up. The last failure did not make Konoha fall into despair. On the contrary, it became more motivated to fight. In order to defeat the Kumo ninja, the 3rd generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and Jiraiya personally supervised the battle. Together with Namake's Minato's cooperation with powerful maneuverability, in the north start a life and death bloody battle with Union. In the following days, Shiraishi continued to receive feedback on the latest intelligence information on the battlefield. Judging from the current stage, Shirogakure suffered a big loss. The result of underestimating Konoha was that a large number of battle brigades were wiped out on multiple battlefields. Even the newly appointed 4th Raikage was seriously injured again by Namake's Minato. Narashikaku once again showed his excellent mind and military strategy, and arranged the distribution of troops very appropriately, and then cut and destroyed multiple brigades of Kumo ninja with Namake's Minato Flying Thunder God as the core. Namake's Minato, who mastered the Flying Thunder God, was very powerful, and his superb teleportation technique made Shirogakure scared to death. Although Raikage's attack was powerful with the Thunder Release Ninja Taijutsu, it was useless in front of the Flying Thunder God. If the Raikage hadn't reacted in time and evacuated, Kumo ninja might have lost another Raikage in this ninja war. In addition to Namake's Minato, several Uchiha juniors showed amazing talents on the battlefield. Uchiha Shizu, Uchiha's nephew, was much better than his master in the teleportation technique. After reading a series of intelligence, Shiraishi couldn't help but sigh. Even if Konoha was so severely damaged in that battle, as the village with the strongest foundation in the ninja world, they could still gather a huge force to pin down the currently powerful Mazuangayan. Crazy beating point. Historically, Konoha has not experienced a major defeat in the Kingdom of Wind. Instead, it has given in when faced with Kumogakure's relentless pressure, and even resorted to peace talks to maintain peace. It's just that Konoha has won victory on 3 battlefields and hopes to use other means to deal with it. But under the current situation, Konoha's situation is precarious, and various fronts may break out again at any time. If Konoha shows its weak side, it will inevitably lead to encirclement and suppression by all parties, so Konoha must continue to be strong. What about the country of rain? Shiraishi is still very concerned about Ota district, so he is more concerned about the changes in the situation in the country of rain. Hanzo seems to be afraid of the Akatsuki organization, and the two sides are in a state of confrontation in the land of rain. After Sunagakure took control of Ota district and most of the troops withdrew from the country of rain, Hanzo's fear of Yahiko and others reappeared within the country of rain as Sunagakure stabilized as a foreign threat. Contradictions and conflicts broke out again. Shiraishi thought about this and turned to look at Arashi Arakawa, Akatsuki or Hanzo. Who do you think is more suitable to bet and establish a cooperative relationship faced with the Shiraishi issue? Arakawa. Arashi said of course, both sides are placing bets to maintain a chaotic situation of fighting against each other. As the head of the intelligence department, Arakawa. Arashi's views are consistent with those of most forces nowadays. For example, Iwagakure also has knowledge of many forces in the land of rain, and the same is true for Konoha. The difference is that Tsuchikage supports Akatsuki, while Danzo supports Hanzo. Arakawa. Arashi's suggestion made Shiraishi silent for a moment, and then shook his head. The strength of those 3 people is still in a rapid growth stage. How can Hanzo, an old man, fight with each other? I will find a way for my clone to contact Akatsuki. There are currently several Beishi human puppet clones suitable for carrying out missions. Many dangerous negotiations are usually carried out by human puppets. On the one hand, they can fully represent Beishi's will, and on the other hand, they can avoid risks. Both ends are taboo. Shiraishi has his own judgment and choice in doing things. The country of rain is just a link on the strategic chessboard of Sunagakure, and in addition to the mainland of the country of wind, the eastern coastline is his real goal. With the large number of ports and trading areas in the kingdom of Koa being incorporated into the kingdom of wind, Shiraishi is preparing to expand a new round of maritime trade. Shiragakure's strategic contraction, coupled with the murderous top brass. The so-called water country daimyo themselves are not very active in trade matters. They have previously developed a large number of routes, including Kusuno country, but only to serve the Shirogakure ninja war. For this group of reckless men with confused minds, Beishi's strategy is very ruthless. In all kinds of overt and covert struggles, he will use the most thunderous means to destroy and eliminate them. In addition, Shiraishi also established a ninja school branch in Nano country and recruited local children to become students. Cultivate these children who are born with mostly water-type chakras, in order to make it easier to carry out subsequent sea strategies in the next 10 years. Sunagakure's main direction will be the sea. After all, the continent's structure is chaotic and it affects the whole body. The sea is relatively simple. Except for the Kingdom of Water, several other countries do not attach too much importance to maritime interests. Reading www.uakunshu.net. Sea Train project is about to begin. The inventory data in the Shiraishi glasses system contains data left by previous generations of glasses owners. Among them is a very special piece of black technology data, which is about the design sketch of a sea train. In addition to the sea train, Shiraishi also designed a special battleship and placed a large number of puppet mechanisms on the battleship. These things are of great significance to the development of maritime trade. Especially this kind of battleship equipped with powerful machine firepower can easily destroy ordinary pirate ships. As long as there are appropriate ninjas on the ship, it can deal with most problems at sea. Point in terms of mechanical weapons, the hydraulic cutting and high temperature flame bombing created by Scorpion are both conventional configurations of specially made battleships. Among them, the most core maritime railway track relies on the combination of part of the deep sea mithril and its own sand silver to form a special maritime railway track. Point however, the price is very expensive. The first maritime track is currently only laid on a very narrow track from the southern seaport of Core Country to the eastern coast port of Wind Country. Chapter 173, Algae Spring on the Mountain Road. Shitao, are you really planning to make me the leader of the jounin class? In the Kazekage's office, Shirogakiji looked at Shiraishi in Kazekage's robe with some disbelief. He never expected that Shiraishi came to him just to let him serve as the monitor of the jounin class and the jounin class. Most of them are the backbones of various families, and their strength is at the elite jounin level. Shirogakiji is only an ordinary jounin. Shiraishi directly promoted him to the leader of the jounin class. It is obvious that the Kazekage-sama needs to control the jounin class. Ninban is firmly in control. What are your concerns? As his partner in life and death, Shirogakiji is currently Shiraishi's most trusted person among Sunagakure. It is precisely because of this that Shiraishi needs him to help him control the entire jounin class. My strength is not yet strong enough to control that group of elite jounin. Even if Maki is transferred by you, the remaining ones will still be powerful. As a confidant of the previous generation Kazekage, Maki has been transferred out of the jounin class by Shiraishi and has become a retired instructor, responsible for guiding graduated genin and their field survival skills. This job is completely different from the core position in the jounin class in the past, but Maki did not show much dissatisfaction and seemed to accept the new job calmly. Shiraishi thinks that he is not a saint. He must fully integrate his own group into all the important positions in Sunagakure's core departments, including the jounin classes Shirogakiji, the sealing class and the medical classes Scroll. In addition to Hashino-mei, Nagase Bizun and Morimoto Ryoji all have their own arrangements. Just when Shirogakiji was about to continue complaining, Shiraishi opened a red scroll, and soon 5 specially made puppets were placed in front of Shirogakiji. And the guy's eyes suddenly shone. During the previous battle with Scorpion, these puppets captured by Shiraishi were transformed by the power of dragon veins and added with the chakra regeneration core of Kaguya's clan's corpse veins to create 5 corpse vein puppets, which made Shirogakiji's heart pound. Stepping forward and looking at the shapes of the puppets and the mechanisms hidden inside, Shirogakiji said carefully, "You gave these to me." Although Shiraishi had made many puppets for him in the past, the value of 5 like these was simply too expensive. They are all improved through Scorpion craftsmanship. Each puppet is equipped with enough mechanism scrolls and powerful corpse vein chakra, which can increase the sturdiness of your puppet to a higher level. Shiraishi stepped forward and introduced the different performance and functions of each puppet to Shirogakiji one by one. Some puppets are suitable for close combat, and some are suitable for long distance combat. The moment the chakra line shot out from Shirogakiji's hand, the eyes of the corpse puppet in front of him flashed bright red, like a living creature, which shocked him. This level of craftsmanship and mechanism, the strength of the puppet master mainly depends on the quantity and quality of the puppets he controls. With the assistance of Li Huangjing, Cheng Yuanxi has already made up for the quantity, and in terms of quality, these 5 corpse bone veins create puppets, which is enough to give him the confidence to compete with the puppet master. Elite jounin compete against each other. Even his father couldn't create a puppet of this level, especially the powerful explosive power contained in the puppet. Shirogakiji knew very well that this was a ninja tool that Shiraishi spent a lot of effort to tailor for himself. I understand. As a partner, I will always support you. The jounin class will trouble you. Although Shirogakiji was reluctant to know this, Shiraishi must complete the internal control of Sunagakure as soon as possible. At the same time that Shiraishi sent away Shirogakiji, the Yamaji family sent someone to deliver a big gift. When the new Oasis Ring area was developed, the Yamaji family divided a large area of land, and now most of the excess land has been basically returned to Sunagakure village. Shan, Luzeo-chan, sent you a very interesting gift. When a large amount of land in the new Oasis Ring area was handed over to the Shanlu family. It was because Shiraishi killed the Shanlu family with a knife during the Sand Festival, which subsequently triggered a large-scale bloody conflict. In order to appease the emotions of the Shanlu family, the elders made these land divisions that exceeded the specifications. Now that the Yamaji family, the leader of the three sand release families, has taken the initiative to hand back part of the land, you can imagine the chain reaction of subsequent families, because Shiraishi remembers clearly that in addition to the Yamaji family, other big families also plundered a lot of land, especially the Iroquois family. Yamaji Moharu, the cousin of Yamaji Ryoko. After the death of Yamaji Tachibana and her daughter Yamaji Ryoko, Yamaji Moharu, who is currently the only elite jounin in the Yamaji family, officially became the Yamaji family leader. Shiraishi didn't have much contact with her, because she was very low-key in the Yamaji family. Although she was outstanding in strength, she rarely overshadowed her cousin Yamaji Ryoko. It was beyond Shiraishi's expectation that this new head of the Yamaji family, who had almost no sense of existence, was so knowledgeable from the beginning of his tenure as Kazekage. Remember, she was Lan's past girlfriend. In the attic of the Yamaji family, there is a woman with long black hair who looks similar to Yamaji Ryoko, but is much more simple and low-key. She is currently being questioned by many elders in the clan. However, her expression was calm, and she allowed the clan elders to vent their awes compared with the glory of Shanji Riko's line. Shanji Zaochin, as the halfway leader of the Yamaji family, has experienced significantly more pressure and doubts than Shanji Riko. At least some elders do not take him seriously. An elder looked at Shanlu Zaoharu with a red face. Hand over those lands. How will you let the tribe develop and grow? Did that brat Iroquois Shiraishi ask you to do this? Iroquois Shiraishi and Sanji Moharu are childhood sweethearts. They grew up together. They were originally lovers. Later, when Iroquois Meru left the Iroquois family, their relationship also ended. Do we really want our Shanlu family to bow to that boy? The two old men from the Shanlu family said angrily, but Shanlu Zaochin didn't say a word and let them finish their oar before speaking quietly. The situation now is completely different from what it was back then. He is the most powerful Kazekage in history, and he is also the contemporary Uchiha Madara. Although he is currently doing things fairly mildly, with so much land in the new Oasis Ring, I'm afraid he has always had the idea of recycling it. Our Shanlu family, compared to Uchiha Madara and Hyuga's two powerful families, can the Yamaji family compete with them for glory? Shanlu Zaochin sighed, causing the expressions of the two elders to change. The black-haired lady stood up slowly, bowed very respectfully, and looked at everyone. Thanks to everyone's recommendation, I, my little girl, have become the head of the Shanlu family. Therefore, I should seek a broader life path for my clan members. While Lord Kazekage is still grateful to Lingzi for his help, we need to resolve the suspicion as soon as possible. At the same time, in the Iroquois family, Iroquois Meru received a letter from Yamaji Moharu, which mentioned that the Yamaji family had already returned a large amount of land acquired in the past to the Kazekage. Today, Iroquois Meru has a beard on his chin. Judging from his appearance, he is much more mature. Iroquois Meru looked a little ugly when he put down the letter from Yamaji Moharu. When the land in the new Oasis Ring was divided, reading www.ukanshu.net. The Iroquois family's interests were second only to the Yamaji family. Now the Yamaji family has taken the lead in handing over part of the land. This is hard for Iroquois Meru to accept. Iroquois Meru, who was about to get up and go to Yamaji's house, suddenly stopped. Now that I have grown up, I don't need them to decide and plan my next step. Thinking of this, Iroquois Meru snorted and threw the letter in his hand into the coals. To this day, due to his father's original planning, the Iroquois family controls a huge overseas navigation and arms trade, and even the entire route is in the hands of the Iroquois family. Even though Iroquois Akita ceded part of the arms trade to the Yamaji family in the past, the route still has to pass through the Iroquois family vessel. Coupled with the large amount of land and minerals in the wind country, in terms of overall strength, the Yamalu family is far superior to the downhill road. It is currently the most glorious wealthy power in Sunagakure, with unlimited glory point precisely because Shiraishi needed to expand Sunagakure's huge overseas trade market. The conflict with the Iroquois family gradually escalated. The incident of Shanlu's Aochan gave Yubashi a good reason and excuse to start a series of follow-up actions against the Iroquois family. Chapter 174, Unable to mediate. The Yamaji family decided to hand over a large amount of land to support the subsequent development of the new Sunagakure village. This news had a huge impact on the entire Sunagakure point, with the Yamaji family taking the lead. The large and small families that had profited from the land division in the new oasis area all returned part of their land. However, in this process, the Iroquois family was an exception. Senior Iroquois, I'm actually very grateful to the Iroquois family for being able to make so many thoughts and contributions to the village during such a difficult time as Sunagakure. Shiraishi held the land lease text in front of him and mocked it with a pun point. Although Iroquois Meru also handed over part of the land, compared with the original interests occupied by the Iroquois family, this land was almost a drop in the bucket, and he did not expect that Iroquois Meru would come to visit in person. This is what our Iroquois family should do. The atmosphere between the two people in the conference room became very silent. Shiraishi gently put down the text in his hand. Thank you for your hard work, Iroquois senpai. Compared to the previous Kazekage Rata, Shiraishi's castle was naturally much deeper. Although Shiraishi didn't say anything on the surface, Iroquois Meru's behavior simply showed that he did not know how to live or die. After learning the news, Sanji Zaoharu quickly went to Kazekage's office, hoping for more mediation and coordination. The Yamaji family and the Iroquois family. After the death of Yamaji Ryoko and Iroquois Rakata, the friendship between the two parties should not be as warm as before, right? Shiraishi was a little surprised when Shanlu's Aochan appeared. According to his assumption, the Shanlu family should be thankful that they succeeded in joining the team now, and he wanted to return Shanlu Ling's favor, so he would not do anything to the Shanlu family for the time being. The head of the Shanlu family, who has always been wise enough to protect himself, now dares to show up to intercede for others? I just don't want Sunagakure to bleed anymore. Shiraishi raised his head and looked at the new head of the Shanlu family in front of him. Compared to Shanlu Ling's fierceness, Shanlu's Aochan was more quiet and introverted. Such an ordinary girl next door has become the current head of the Shanlu family. You go back first, Lord Kazekage. Shiraishi looked at Shanlu's Zaoharu with a very cold expression. The problem is not here, but with Iroquois Meru. You should know what to do. The time left for the Iroquois family is limited. Originally, Shiraishi didn't want to take action against these big families so quickly, but since Yamaji Moharu had made a good start, he had to take advantage of this opportunity to carry out the first wave of remediation. With the Iroquois family bearing the brunt, Sanji Moharu was a little worried about her distant relative, but unfortunately, compared to Sanji Ryoko, she and Iroquois Meru didn't have many interactions in the past, so there was no way to persuade her. Shiraishi, the 5th generation Kazekage, reacted very quickly. Almost immediately on the same day, he declared that part of the Iroquois family's land was illegally occupied and ordered all illegally occupied land to be returned within 3 days. A simple order, but it gave all Sunagakure senior officials a shuddering feeling. The Kazekage-sama had just been talking to Iroquois Meru, as if nothing had happened, and then he immediately turned against him. This order was passed by the elders in the jounin class, and the next move shocked these big families, because Shirogakiji received Shiraishi's order, and directly led 3 brigades to surround the Iroquois family's residence. During the whole process, the Kazekage family acted very murderously, and did not give the Iroquois family enough respect. These 3 brigades are all elite forces who followed Shiraishi in the war. They are all ninjas who graduated from the ninja public school. They belong to the direct line of the Kazekage-sama. If the Iroquois family continues to fight, I'm afraid, unexpectedly, Iroquois Meru's reaction was also very stubborn. He ignored the Kazekage's orders and allowed the 3 jounin squads to surround the Iroquois family. Iroquois Meru's completely uncooperative attitude was almost a blatant challenge to the Kazekage's authority. The internal situation in Sunagakure village, which had been gradually stabilized, became strange again. Compared to the lame duck of the 4th Kazekage Rasa, the 5th Kazekage Shiraishi is almost the most centralized Kazekage in history. He controlled many key points such as the jounin class and the intelligence department. Before taking office. After Shiraishi assumed the position of Kazekage, he quickly stepped up his efforts to centralize power. Among them, the 3 families of Sandescape and the Kitajima family, who had cooperated with him in the past, were the biggest obstacles in the eyes of Kazekage. Weakening the power of the 3 Sagakure clans is the top priority in Shiraishi village. Among the 3 clans, the Iroquois family is the strongest. They used to control some overseas arms trade channels, and had a large amount of land and resources. They were the largest wealthy family in Sunagakure. Shiraishi must weaken it. In addition, the Daimyo family represents the Kitajima family, and their influence in Sunagakure village is also increasing day by day. Although he has a good relationship with Kitajima Shuren, Shiraishi will never allow the so-called powerful forces to appear in Sunagakure. It was not convenient for him to attack the Kitajima family at the moment, but the Iroquois family's sudden appearance gave Shiraishi the best excuse. The Iroquois family, Kitajima family, and Yamaji family are currently the largest wealthy families in the village, and their influence must be reduced one by one. Inside Ibizo's house, Shiraishi was wearing casual clothes and describing his next plan. For the rapid development of Sunagakure village, he must break the influence of wealthy families on Sunagakure. Ibizo knew Shiraishi's intention, but he shook his head helplessly. These big families thought they were in the past. Shiraishi's prestige is now enough to crush anyone in the village. Dealing with the Iroquois family is not as complicated as outsiders imagine. Cousin Iroquois, you should not continue to fight against the Kazekage. Sanji Moharu arrived at Iroquois' house, and when he saw Iroquois Meru with a nonchalant expression on his face, he suddenly became a little anxious. She never expected that Iroquois Meru would be so arrogant that he would ignore the Kazekage army surrounding him and just listen to the song in the house with a nonchalant look on his face. Yawning slightly, Iroquois Meru said nonchalantly, the Iroquois family, Ukanshu www.ukanshu.net is the core family that founded the Sunagakure village. Even the Kazekage doesn't dare to kill us. Iroquois Meru's words almost made Sanji Zaoharu roll his eyes in anger. No wonder Sanji Ryoko and think highly of him at the beginning, and she didn't understand that Iroquois Akita would hand over the Iroquois family to such a stupid person. At the sand memorial ceremony, Shiraishi, who had not yet risen to prominence at that time, chopped off the elder of the Yamaji family with a sword, and then dared to fight with the ninjas of the Yamaji family. At that time, Shiraishi dared to do these things. Now that he has such a huge network and prestige, how dare he not attack the Iroquois family? Yamaji Moharu, who was too lazy to talk nonsense with Iroquois Meru for a while, stepped directly out of the door of Iroquois' house, and unexpectedly met Iroquois Erishi at the door. Seeing Iroquois Lanenuo move his lips, Sanji Zaoharu glared at the guy fiercely, bumped him away and left. Coward. The moment they passed by, Yamaji Zaoharu's scolding made Iroquois Erishi stay where he was an embarrassment. If you don't want to be a coward, take back everything that belongs to you. Chapter 175, The Iroquois Incident. Iroquois Meru is not as relaxed as he seems. In fact, he is under great pressure now. How can he not know the feeling of the coming storm? But it's not that he can just give in if he wants to. The entire Iroquois family is now filled with indignation and feels that the Kazekage is too domineering. Our Iroquois family is the largest wealthy family in Sunagakure, controls the richest land and assets, and has the most complete trade routes. The Iroquois family makes a huge contribution to the annual economic income of the Kingdom of Wind. There is a giant-like existence in the entire Kingdom of Wind. Is this a force that the Kazekage can move at will? Most members of the Iroquois family firmly support Iroquois Meru and Shiraishi to continue their confrontation and maintain the family's prestige. This resulted in Iroquois Meru being unable to go back on his word. Even if he wanted to. He knew very well that if he showed signs of repentance, the elders and angry young people in the clan would directly tear him apart. As the clan leader now, Iroquois is becoming more and more antagonistic towards Kazekage. Some people even brought up Shiraishi's use of spark magic to defraud the Iroquois family. They believe that Kazekage has been a greedy person from the past to the present. After hearing this rumor, Orochimaru became very bitter. He did not carry out the apology about the spark technique that his father told him before his death, and even forgot it in his mind point. Now that someone is deliberately mentioning it, it is simply to push the Orochimaru family directly to a dead end. Those who spread this rumor are too hateful. Who is Shiraishi now? One is known as the contemporary Uchiha Madara, the most powerful Kazekage in history. He deliberately brought up the old case of the spark technique in order to remind the Kazekage of the troubles made by the Orochimaru family in the past, which would make his family's situation even more difficult. The Orochimaru family is too rich, and even Shiraishi is keen on the aircraft carrier trading power controlled by the Orochimaru family. In this storm, many other families and Sunagakure are secretly adding fuel to the fire, hoping to expand the attack on the Orochimaru family. By the time Orochimaru figured it out, he had already been roasted on the fire. Now he was on pins and needles, not knowing how to avoid the fate of his family being completely wiped out by the Kazekage. Brother Lan, you must help the Orochimaru family overcome this difficulty. The appearance of Shiraishi made Orochimaru feel like he had grasped a life-saving straw and saw hope. Orochimaru's expression and reaction were all caught in Shiraishi's eyes, and Shiraishi's lips showed a smile inadvertently. Then, why are you still unwilling to hand over those land deeds and texts? Mentioning this matter, Orochimaru said very aggrievedly, this is no longer under my control. Once I have this plan, my tribe will not let me go. Now I'm surrounded by those spies. Regarding Orochimaru's statement, Shiraishi felt very shameful in his heart. The head of the Orochimaru family who refused to hand over the land deed also agreed with it, but now the situation forced him to blame all these matters on his clan members. Since it was the clan members who forced you to do these things, then the higher-ups in the village will have ways to help you solve these troubles. When Shiraishi said these words, Orochimaru's eyes suddenly lit up. Will the Kazekage and the elders believe me? Of course, Orochimaru is a huge family after all. Selling his tribe members in exchange for his own safety, Shiraishi handed a list to Orochimaru in a persuasive manner while speaking. Take a look. Is this the list? Picking up the list, Orochimaru glanced at it. There were densely packed rows of names of the core members of the Orochimaru family, and Orochimaru's scalp suddenly went numb. This list includes the persons in charge of all aspects of the Orochimaru family's various industrial fields in the Kingdom of Wind, many of whom are affiliated families or business groups of the Orochimaru family. As the head of the Sunagakure intelligence department, Shiraishi personally drafted the names of all the personnel. Here, some of the people there existed were not even clear to Shiraishi, but they were all listed by Shiraishi himself. Shiraishi, who comes from the Orochimaru family, knows the Orochimaru family's background better than anyone else. In addition, after spending these years in the intelligence department, his castle has become very deep. Currently, he is working for Shiraishi wholeheartedly. At the same time, his revenge against the Orochimaru family is also quietly start point for Shiraishi. After that night, it was his lingering nightmare. He often dreamed that the heads of all his companions, including himself, were given as gifts by Akita to his political enemy Shiraishi. Scenes like that seemed to appear, stimulating every sensitive nerve of Shiraishi. Akita's ruthless side changed Shiraishi's life. The seeds of revenge hidden deep in his heart were also planted at that time. Shiraishi and Abizo are naturally aware of part of Shiraishi's psychological activities. They originally asked him to cut off his relationship with the Orochimaru family, just to make him view the matter more openly. Now it seems that the matter is not over yet. As the head of the Sunagakure intelligence department, Shiraishi knew exactly what to do to strengthen the Kazekage-sama's determination. So he deliberately asked some Orochimaru family members to mention the original spark technique incident. Driven intentionally or unintentionally by Shiraishi, it turned into a comprehensive purge of the Orochimaru family. Meru. If you sign this list, you can save your life, and leave the rest to me. Shiraishi's soft words finally made Orochimaru tremble, and he quickly nodded and signed. Shiraishi put away the list and slowly stepped out of the door of Shirai's house. Soon Shiraishi's 3 combat brigades withdrew from the encirclement and returned the freedom of the Shiroi family. For a while, there were cheers in the Shiroi family, obviously cheering for the Kazekage's concession. However, after receiving the news, the senior officials of all Sunagakure parties were silent, waiting for the next evolution of the situation. In the Kazekage's office, Shiraishi looked at the list submitted by Shiroi. After signing it with a swipe of his pen, an action against the top brass of the Shiroi family began silently in the evening. 3 human puppet clones controlled by Shiraishi's regeneration core, plus the 3 previously evacuated combat brigades, and 15 Anbu groups, totaling more than 600 ninjas, sneaked into the Shiroi house from all directions. The blood dyed the entire Shiroi family red. A large number of Shiroi family members who had no time to react were suddenly thrown into confusion when faced with the sudden attack by the Kazekage army. Coupled with the fierce offensive of the 3 puppet Shiraishi, in less than half an hour, the Sunagakure family was defeated. The Shiroi family suffered a big change overnight, and a large number of key members and senior officials were arrested. After capturing these people alive, Shiroi Meru, the head of the Shiroi family, publicly announced the crimes of these people in the village, mainly for smuggling prohibited items, such as detonating charms and arms trade, to Konoha, Kumogakure, Kirigakure and other ninja villages. To put it bluntly, it is collaboration with the enemy. Deprive them of the Shiroi family status and expel them. You read www.ukanshu.net and then hand them over to the village for processing. After Shiroi Meru read these contents tremblingly, he walked down the podium with a very gloomy face, and then these people were escorted to the outskirts of the village for large-scale execution. Kazekage acted decisively and quickly in this series of actions, and successfully used this incident to eliminate the Shiroi family, the biggest obstacle in the current plan. Although this incident caused a huge shock in each village, there was no huge reaction in Sunagakure itself. Simply because the residents of the village only care about one piece of news, that is the new livelihood project formulated by Lord Kazekage to completely transform the village environment and eradicate the phenomenon of wind and sand invasion. So Shiraishi set up a new giant electromagnetic barrier in the village. After the new barrier was rolled out, the annoying wind and sand disappeared little by little, but at the same time, in the medical class, Eluosha was now very anxiously looking at Geriyuro in the delivery room. His wife Geriyuro suddenly went into labor early and was in very dangerous condition. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.